The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
And Chris Johnson!
Hooray!
It's a yearly tradition where we commiserate, and sometimes we do it right after the Leafs are eliminated from the playoffs. Although we have found in recent years it's better to just wait until free agency's over. Because, well, the Leafs basically decided every year we're not going to change anything. I ain't fucking leaving.
Yeah.
And then the guy that was leaving left, and we knew he was leaving, and it was pretty clear he was leaving. So CJ, welcome to the show.
Well, Brendan Shanahan left as well.
Yeah, I suppose he did.
This is the 1 year there was actually change.
There was changes.
Things happen.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a new world.
Pontus Holmberg moved on.
I know. Yeah. Who else?
Nick Abruzzese.
Yeah.
Alex Steves.
Yeah. Some crazy names.
Big names.
It is one of the first
Matt
years
Murray.
I can remember that all of the Leafs, top 5-6 defense will be back. Mm-hmm. There was always usually a change there, but maybe. Oh.
Wow, it's July 15th.
It is. That's true. So
training camp doesn't start for 2 months.
I know. Are you getting any time in to relax right now before we get into the actual hockey stuff?
Dude, you basically pulled me off the beach.
Did I?
I mean, not actually. Not much of a
Coburg Beach.
Not much of a beach goer, but I'm in like my monk state where I'm not on the phone too much.
Well, he's wearing white linen and he's looking relaxed. Look at him. He's a man about town.
I met him at a coffee shop today, and he's got this shirt on, this white shirt on, the sun behind him, like the White Lotus theme playing.
Right.
Like just
So CJ is
zen.
Jesus.
Yes. See Jesus. Yes.
Well, I mean, I haven't worked in like 10 days, which doesn't happen during the season, right?
100%.
If you think about the year, if you can imagine it, and look at what I do isn't really work anyway, but it takes a lot of time and energy. Mm-hmm. And so this is like as relaxed as you're ever going to find me behind a microphone.
And that's done. Get back to work. Jack Roslovic, where's he going? Brett Leeson, where's he going?
CJ,
Everyone else.
Last year at this time, we did this show, and
did we do it this summer?
Yeah, we did it I thought we did it in early July, but Steve basically was saying, and he was passionate about this, they cannot come back with this group. They cannot do this again. And your thought was, well, it really doesn't matter because they're gonna. They don't really have any other options anyway, right? Because everybody had no trade protection. And it turns out that there was some discussions last year. And forgive us for one more time for mentioning the name Mitch Marner, which you must be exhausted by at this point.
No, because you're pulling me off the beach, this is all fresh material.
Oh, this is great. All right.
I'm not bored of any of this, so just fire away. Where do you want to go?
So that moment of frustration was interesting because you guys got into it, and CJ literally looked at Steve at one point and said, "What do you want me to tell you?" What I don't know what else I can say.
Where Brett Leeson is signing.
Yeah.
Now.
But
6'5" beef. Tell me now. Sorry.
Anthony Petrelli did a great piece in Maple Leaf Hot Stove about, okay, what if they had signed Marner? And the forget Mitch just not wanting to be here anymore, which is pretty clear he didn't.
That's a hard thing to forget, though.
Yeah,
that's a big. Forget this.
I know, but even
inconvenient truth.
He said, hey, the Leafs wouldn't have got much better, and they would have essentially been in the same position they've been in for half a decade already if they had signed him. And he wasn't signing for 12. He'd be signing for 13 and a half to stay here, right? That's what the Leafs offered him, reportedly. And so, it's an interesting thing because now we sit here, President is out because one of the star players is gone with very little coming back. Nothing against Nick Roy, but I want to see, you want to see some action when a president lets a player like that walk in free agency. We obviously did. Where do you think, because there's been a lot of back and forth about this, and there's Reeves' interview over the weekend, where do you think things started to split off between Mitch Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs? He referenced in his press conference, a couple years ago when things started to go weird. And I'm like, that's interesting because that's when Brad Treliving stepped in. What are your thoughts on when, this breakup really began?
I think it's that 2 years ago point, and it has nothing to do with Brad Treliving in terms of timing. I think that was just the year, and help me with my memory. That
23.
So they had lost to Florida.
Yeah, second round, 5 games.
Another series where, Mitch Marner didn't put up a lot of points, took a lot of criticism. Obviously, they went down 3-0 in that series. And I do remember, I believe there was 2 off days between games 3 and 4, down 3-0. And I remember one particular interview in Florida where he was so dismissive of sort of the criticism. I think it was piling up by that point, right? And so the split up here, on one hand, it's the team and the player, but it's really the city and the fan base and maybe the media has some degree of this. Like, I don't know how that stew looks, but I think for Mitch, it was becoming less and less comfortable to live in Toronto full time and be a Maple Leaf around that point in time. And obviously this is, if you overlay it with everything else we know that happened in his life, he's, since become a father earlier this year. He was, he's moving in a direction where he got married. He started a family now. I think that those two things were happening kind of at the same time. He was becoming less enamored with his life as a Leaf. And obviously his performance creates some of that too. Like, I'm not saying he's completely a victim here, but it was a hard life. He did it for what, 9 years? Mm-hmm. So that was about year 7, where I'm identifying the point where I think it was uncomfortable. Ironically, this will be the road we can't go open that door over here and see this alternate universe. But that's when Kyle Dubas was willing to consider trading one of these guys, and you have to believe that was Mitch Marner.
So obviously, hindsight 2020, and this is all just fantasy. But do you think he actually does it?
The hard part to know is he was 100% going to gauge the market.
Yeah.
But I don't think Kyle, just knowing Kyle the way I do a little bit, I don't think he would have boxed himself in his mind where he's like, I have to move him. So if the offers were just pure junk, like non-starters, I don't think he would have made the move. Really what he was open to in that moment was, okay, doing the same thing here is not, like, he got to the point where some of us had been saying even earlier than that.
Yep.
Like, as far back as the Montreal loss, I'd say, is really where those questions like, can you really expect a different result with the same group of guys at a time when the cap isn't rising? So there's not a lot of ways to improve the roster. Like, you can move around the third line left winger, but are you really affecting much change if the guys at the top of the roster aren't pulling the chain? And so that summer, I think he would have certainly wanted to listen and see what was out there. And they had until July 1st of 2023 to move Marner without any no trade protection being involved. So they could have traded him to any of the other 31 teams.
So July 1st, 2023 comes, his no move kicks in. Was Willie ever discussed?
I don't believe so, no. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to help me with some of the timing here. Did Willie, he didn't have a full new move at that point, right?
No, he was still, he was on the...
Sorry, let's rewind.
Yeah, sure.
Because this was actually one story that was my report. That was days after that loss. Kyle acknowledged this publicly, right?
Yes.
Days after that, he's fired.
Yes.
Brad Treliving's hired. And before anything can even happen, Brendan Shanahan calls each of those players or their representatives and says, don't worry, these changes don't mean that you're in danger here. Like, this is an organizational change, but you're still part of the plan.
Right.
So Brad Treliving was hired into the environment where it was expected none of those players would be moved.
Right.
So Willie wasn't really discussed because that wasn't what he was hired to do.
He wasn't allowed to move him.
Well, I guess that's where maybe, and if Brendan was sitting in this room, he might have said, well, if Brad had come to me and said this was I can't say that he wasn't allowed, but before he was hired, almost like your legs are taken out from you, if that's what you think. And quite honestly, I don't know that Brad Treliving in that moment, you can't come in and trade one of those players.
Yeah, like, I know how a job works. When my boss wants something, I'm not going to come in and be like, no, I'm going to do the complete opposite.
I think a lot of us take that job, honestly. So, okay, I'm not...
Why does everything in Toronto happen out of order when you think about it?
Ooh.
Because Brad Treliving is now, right now, as we sit here, just over 2 years into his time as GM, his boss is now gone with a new boss. It just feels like it never goes top down.
This sequence of events.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and we could go all the way back to like the early 2000s and explain, like, they keep hiring out of order. Kind of.
This sequence of events it's infuriating because from that moment when they fired Dubas, it's like, okay, well, so here's what's going to happen. Brad's going to come in. He's not going to be able to do anything. Mitch his full no move is going to kick in. I guess they're going to extend Willie, and they're not going to get anything done. Sheldon's going to get fired. They bring in the new guy. but the team is fundamentally the same. Shanahan finally gets fired.
And honestly, if they had a won Game 7, I don't think he's fired.
No, they'd be in the Final Four.
That's a lot different from being eliminated in the
Yes.
second round.
I know, and I know how that game went down, and we don't have to go back into that. It's still one game.
Yep.
No, I know,
That's pro
but if I
sports.
had scales,
it's
I'd be
not
a
one
fish.
game though, CJ. It's 9 years,
Yeah, but it came down to one game.
and often that's what happens. But it was pretty clear. Like, listen, had Brendan Shanahan made the conference finals with any of these teams previous to this, maybe it doesn't come down to that game, right?
No, of course not. But I just think it's amazing that ultimately it came down to one.
Oh, I think it's something.
And I
It's-
think-
it's a lot of things.
What's interesting, CJ, is
It's probably easier that they lost the game 6-1 in a way, because you don't go because you could play awesome and lose 3-2 in that game, and then you might be playing the but game, but there's no but with the way that happened.
Lucky us then.
Well,
I think
just saying.
I think
a
too.
little cleaner this way.
We gotta look at it too. Like Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment wanted to get rid of that role. Like they want to eliminate the president's roles. We just saw that with Masai and Brandon.
Well,
within a few
they
weeks.
committed weirdly for the Raptors to do a search for a new president.
Yes, but that will be a president that doesn't make $14 million, right? It'll be a president that
but
makes $3.
it was odd with their commitment to
Yeah.
get rid of the president role to commit to a search for a new president. But CJ, like with the
Just wait a minute. I heard that Masai got paid much more than $14 million on the way out.
Oh, because he was bought out of his
He
deal.
had a 1 year left, and it was a
Like I heard, this is not my area of expertise, but north of $60 million.
6-0?
6-0?
Yeah.
They really wanted him out.
Well, no, I think
Holy moly.
it was to do with he had clauses in his contract that were tied to the growth of the overall team revenue,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And so I don't know exactly how those clauses work, but I heard that he got a massive payday.
And he was Larry's guy, right? Like that was so was Shanny. They were Larry guys, right?
And to be fair, if you do work for a boss and that boss sees his or her interest grow, like he contributed to the success of the team.
Certainly.
Right? Like the value of the team is only what it is today in part because of what he did for 10 years plus.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that money, but anyway.
Anyway, sorry,
and the
Jesse, go ahead.
timing on that respect is so very clear. Like as Rogers gains full control of the organization, they're getting out the people they don't want in the organization anymore, and they've never been a fan of Masai, and they didn't want to pay him that $14 million contract. And
And what are you doing? Are you giving
him?
him a raise on that? Like,
Yeah.
let's face it, the Raptors have kind of been in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably time to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Probably the same for Brendan, quite honestly. I mean,
Yes.
obviously he wanted to stay and all those things, but
I wanted a winning team.
Well,
we don't always get what we want.
they won a lot of games.
I don't care.
So
None
happens
of the
if-
ones that I wanted.
What happens if they don't win many games going forward? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but are you going to view
that's
it
everybody
differently?
on Twitter.
Yeah, no. So that is that, and people they're gonna dance about that, and I'm at peace with it because this purgatory is killing all of us. I think it's killing a lot of Leaf fans' brains. This looking great, literally great every year, blowing it in near identical ways. Like we
Yeah, it was like strangely predictable.
Oh, the moment the Leafs won Game 5 against the Bruins, I'm like, well, this is going 7, and they're going to lose. And they did. And then Florida, they go down with that horrible Game 5. And we're all like, so we're all in agreement how this ends, right?
Like, do you know the view in the Panthers room was when they saw the way the Leafs fans turned, and I'm not saying in a bad way, on the team at the end of Game 5, they knew that the pressure would be so huge in Game 7 that they probably weren't going to see the best of the Leafs. And it's not to blame the fans. It's more to point out that the Panthers gained strength mentally, knowing the way that they'd kind of broken things on the other side with that Game 5 win.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens though.
And I was
they're-
told that from someone in the dressing room.
Yeah,
I'm not speculating on that. That's right from.
I mean, I believe that.
Jesse,
I believe that.
continue your question.
Sorry, we're all over the place.
Yeah. Before we look to the future,
I want to keep going with Mitch too here. So.
totally. Yeah. This is about Mitch.
I come in and we just go right in the ditch.
Steve and
You go
Chris.
the last episode we did last year in July, early July, I think it was like around the 8th. It was called The Thought and the Feeling. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
The conclusion that CJ is the thought and Steve is the feeling. It was a wonderful episode. If you can go back and watch it, do it.
Oh, it's hilarious in
it's
The
retrospect.
thought.
Hilarious.
But the question, going back to 2017, that Leafs team that loses to the Capitals, seeing how the next almost 10 years plays out with Mitch Marner and all that, Are you shocked that it played out this way? Because that team there, everybody thought had a couple championships, a couple deep runs in them, so much hope and looking towards the future with all of their star talent. And we get this point where they lose a guy and nothing's been accomplished. Knowing that 2017 CJ was there around the team, how do you feel looking back from that team to this team?
They underperformed. I mean, there's no way around that. I think at that point, in 2017, you'd say the worst case for this Leafs core is that they become those Capitals. And remember, those Capitals were known for not getting over the hump, having magnificent regular seasons. They won multiple President's Trophies early in the sort of Ovechkin, Backstrom, Braden Holtby era, Carlson, all those guys. And, but they were at least getting to the second round basically every year. They got to 1/3 round, I believe, where they lost, and then they finally won in 2018. But you would have thought that was the worst case scenario for the Leafs, and in the reality, the Leafs got to the second round twice now in this era. So they've definitely won fewer playoff games than those Capitals did, and they didn't win the President's Trophy, which I realize is nothing necessarily to celebrate, but it is a sign. Like, I can understand why Washington's management kept doubling down on that team, because they were scoring the most goals in the league and finishing as the best regular season team. So there's no way around it. From that moment, there was so much hope. I don't even know how much history we want to do here, but
all of it.
Well, when you think about it, like, Babcock was a sign of hope at that time, right? When he came to Toronto.
Yeah.
And they tanked in the perfect tank because they weren't even that bad. And they actually won the lottery, which you don't always do when you tank. And Austin Matthews scored 4 goals in his first friggin' game. Like,
40 in his first season.
Right. Mm-hmm. And even like you drafted Marner 4th, and he fell to you, frankly, because, the Coyotes took Strome, who's turned out to be a great player. But I mean, Mitch immediately was a more effective pro from the moment. And even William Nylander, like, he was probably he's come on later in his career in terms of how he's viewed publicly. But like, they had all these guys in this moment. You just felt like in a league where it's just hard to amass that kind of talent, and they're so young, and they're already good when they're young, and they're making the playoffs in that first full season together.
And they had other players. They had JVR, they had Bozak, they had Kadri, they had Riley, they had Gardner, Hyman. There were guys that
Connor Brown,
very valuable.
Connor Brown was a good player.
Yes, he
really
was.
good.
Still is.
Yeah, but I mean, they had to let him go at that time when they were in a cap trouble.
Yeah,
remember his trade to Ottawa. But like, had they held on to him, if they could have kept that all together on it, like, you'd still want a team today, probably with Kadri and Hyman on
absolutely,
it. And Brown.
Why were they in cap
Hold on.
trouble?
So let's not go to that. I want to go to this, because I think this is important. We got to talk about this part. One of the things Mitch talked about in his press conference was the fact that it seemed like there were some sort of trade talk last year between the Leafs and Vegas, and that he and his family sort of mentioned or talked about the fact that they would be interested in that prospect. And obviously nothing came of that, because I believe the Leafs reportedly wanted Shea Theodore, and Vegas was like, yeah, we're just not going to do that. We'll wait a year. And obviously that worked out for Vegas pretty well, being patient on that. I think for a lot of Leaf fans, Chris, this feels like a guy that probably should have asked his way out, knowing that in retrospect, because for a lot of people,
but he didn't have to.
I know. So just let me just pose this, and then you could poke holes in it, because he didn't have to. But their thing is, how could you possibly have your heart and soul in this when you're a summer before talking about the next place you're going to go? And I think it's because most fans have never been in that position. Maybe that's a normal thing that players do and they talk about and whatever. But I feel like there's a seething resentment for, hey, so you weren't really in this anyway. And is that a fair comment to make?
Look, I don't think the trade talks with Vegas and Toronto last summer were that real. Okay. Like, I think there was a discussion or discussions, but it wasn't like this was necessarily a real thing that was going to happen at that point. Once it got into the season and Marner wasn't negotiating, it became more urgent, obviously, for the Leafs to try to get something back for him. And you had the Carolina discussion, which he didn't want to go to Carolina. And at that point in time, it was much more real, where Mitch knew maybe there's a chance you go to Vegas. And it was communicated one way or another. The Leafs knew if they could make a trade work, he would go to Vegas at that time. because he didn't want to go somewhere where he wasn't going to sign an extension and be long-term.
And he wasn't going to do that in Carolina.
With a 7 months pregnant wife.
Yeah.
So I think that whole flare up around the trade deadline is where all of this was like very much it could happen. Everything before that was pretty hypothetical. A lot of it was the stuff that GMs are doing all the time. Hey, would you ever think about this? That's
what would it look like if this?
I think that's literally the way a lot of GMs have to talk to each other, because you're almost just like postulating an idea. Like, would you ever consider trading one of your star players? And if you did, I think that's how it kind of goes. It's not really like, all right, we want Marner. and like, I think it's far more almost like, hey, could we dream up a scenario that might work for everyone? And I think it was very loose last summer, call it. And I don't think it ever got to the point where it's like, hey, Mitch, we got a deal. Would you go to Vegas? So I don't know how much Vegas was truly in Marner's mind last summer. Like, it's not a mystery that he would want to play there, but frankly, right now, star players on lots of teams around the league probably hypothetically would be interested in playing in Vegas. For all the reasons Mitch is there, but all the reasons that Alex Pietrangelo once signed there, and Mark Stone signed an 8-year deal right after getting traded out of Ottawa, and down the list. Max Pacioretty. I mean, like, they've always been able to attract top players. So I don't think this was, in reverse, it's getting written far more like this was destiny. It was always going to go this way. First of all, I think Mitch would have played in other cities. Certainly believe Dallas is a place he would have played if there was a world where that made sense. It didn't make sense. They went and got Rantanen at the deadline. They don't have the cap space. We all know what happened since. But like, I don't think it was Vegas or bust all along. I don't believe that this is as nefarious as it looks. And quite frankly, any player that's a pending UFA, you could make the same point about. How much is his heart fully? I mean, he just had his best season statistically. So I don't think you can say that Mitch didn't hold up his end of the bargain. Maybe you wanted more in the playoffs, but you've said that other years when you didn't question where his heart was. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong in this circumstance. I mean, if you wanted to try to have a cleaner exit, there was maybe that way. Maybe you go to them last summer and say, hey, look, guys,
I'm not going to sign here.
But the one thing we don't know is in the back of his mind, maybe he was thinking, maybe this is the year we go and win a cup and maybe I want to stay. Like, I don't know that he closed off the possibility.
Yeah.
But it was another year the same for him too, right?
How do you think the Leafs received the conversation between his management group and them saying, we're not going to negotiate in season? Because what I was told was they sat down, they said, we're not negotiating, don't bother, we're going to free agency. How do you think that was received in September? Was that a surprise? And if it was a surprise, why was it a surprise? This is where it's less to me about Mitch and more to me about the Shanahan era and how this team was managed.
I don't know that answer. It's a fair question. Look, I think that they were trying to keep hope until February that they were going to re-sign him. Like, I think that it was always in their mind that maybe he'll soften, as this gets closer. But if anything, the fact that he didn't bend on that, I think they got to February and late February and into early March, and we're like, oh, wow, okay. He's not staying. So now they were too late. If you judge too late by managing your asset.
I do.
And that's fair.
I do.
But, they still had him contribute 102 points last season, and they had him in the playoffs, and they got to Game 7 of the second round.
And for the fans that are, and I just want to dispel this and we can move on, for the fans that are pissed at guys like Ryan Reeves or Max Pacioretty, because Marner named them both because they both played in Vegas.
Come on.
Just because he said, what's it like to live there? And apparently he and his wife were talking at Four Nations with some of the Vegas players and their wives about what it's like to play there. Again, for Leaf fans who feel a little stung, that feels salt in the wound, is it landing the way that it should? Is that a misrepresentation? Was it misspoken? And is that something that players do all the freaking time and it's not a big deal?
Look, have you ever had a job? Anyone out there that's mad about this? Have you ever had a job and wondered, what would it be like to work across the street for this other boss who may be better or in this other city? I mean, it's the conversations we all have.
Yeah.
like you and I might sit here and go like, hey, I mean, between all of us, we've worked everywhere in media. We could easily turn these mics off or keep them on and have a really honest discussion about what it's like to be employed at Rogers or Bell or the Nations Network or all of these places. I think it's the normal conversations that happen. What maybe isn't normal is Mitch said that into a microphone. Yeah. Like he said that at his Vegas introductory press conference. But, if you've worked for someone, like you always wonder what it might be like to work somewhere else. I think frankly, it would be surprising if those conversations weren't happening. And I suspect if we were, in Winnipeg and this was Nikolai Ehlers, I suspect he was having conversations like this about Carolina. He mentioned, he knows Frederik Andersen. They're both Danish, right? They go back. Like, I bet he had discussions in...
I think the difference is that Freddie Andersen wasn't a Jet at the same time. I think that's where people get annoyed. Is like, well, hey, these guys were both
but we don't
employed by the
know
Leafs.
all those conversations. Usually those conversations are kept in private.
Yes.
My point is there might be guys on the Jets that he had those type of... And maybe about cities he didn't even sign in, right?
Sure.
Maybe, hey, you played in New York. What's that like? Well, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's for me. Like, I think... there's lots of things you can be critical about, and you can be mad. You can be mad as hell. That's your right as a fan. But I don't think you should be mad at people who are being a good friend to someone, because that's really, I view that as, I don't think it's crossing any lines. It's certainly not illegal by any way, and I do think it's literally when I worked at Wendy's in Coburg on Division Street, I looked across the street and there was a McDonald's, and I probably at that time was like, hey, wonder, do they get paid more over there? Do they get treated better? And I can tell you damn much, if I had to learn they got paid more or they got treated better, I would have walked across the street and turned in my hat and put another one.
Where's your loyalty to Wendy's? Well, CJ, come on, man.
I mean, we're only dealing in hypotheticals. Because
Yes.
I put in 3 good years there. I left on good terms, moved to Toronto.
Set records at the drive-thru. So
man.
that's one of my favorite stories of all
I know.
time.
I wish I had more Wendy's stories. That's a good one to come away with, but I don't have a lot of I don't have a number 2 or number 3 story. It's mostly like, we made a bunch of burgers and sometimes we snuck a few into the drive-thru to our buddies. That was about it.
Jesse?
How close was the tampering issue? How close were we to actually getting a tampering charge on one of these teams?
I don't think it was that close.
No.
I mean, my sense is, certainly when the trade went down, I think that takes it off the board.
Yes.
Because, that was an emotional time when it was all coming to a head. And
It was a crazy weekend.
It was a crazy weekend. Obviously, the Leafs are losing a 102-point player in this.
40-hour draft.
Yeah.
Right. But if you do step back and just the known facts, including the fact that the Leafs and Vegas had discussions at the trade deadline in which Mitch Marner or his representative communicated that he would waive a note, like everybody at the table knew, hey, if there's a trade, you would go there. So, I mean, tampering it's a slippery slope in this league.
Right.
Because I do think that there's a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But what actually rises to tampering is like having a contract done ahead of time, and I don't think anything like that happened.
Okay.
At all.
Was the trade to avoid all of that mess? Or was it more so for the 8 years, or was that 8 years thrown in there to avoid the mess?
Well, it was 2 things. It was a guarantee for Vegas, because as much as they know Mitch Marner would like to play in Vegas, if it gets to July 1st at noon Eastern time, there's always the possibility someone comes in with a 20% offer, a max offer, like some deal they wouldn't do. And as much as you might say, well, he still wants to go to Vegas, but maybe if LA is offering $18 million a year, who knows? Like, I might change my plans in those cases. So it gave Vegas security. It gave them the 8th year, which I think was valuable to the team. The 8th year is valuable to the player in this case. And in the Leafs, they got a serviceable 3rd or 4th line centerman out of it, which is better than nothing. Mm-hmm. It's not amazing. There's no way to sell that as a win for the Leafs, but I do think it's better than truly letting him go. So it brought some finality to it, and I do think it removed it. But I was obviously talking to people at the league at the time all these allegations were going around, and I never sensed it had any legs.
Wow. So the fans.
I'm not saying people didn't. Maybe within. Like, I don't believe Elliott made this up. So I should be clear. I just don't think this was ever going to be seriously investigated. I don't know if it was anything more than just frustration about the way everything was kind of unraveling and ending.
So the fans of the other 31 teams who are accusing Brad Treliving of blackmailing Vegas, like, they should calm their horses a little?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Blackmail for Nicholas Waugh? No offense. and I say that with respect. In fact, like, I know the Leafs, once we moved beyond the fact that he was got for Mitch Marner's rights, I mean, you could be a useful player for Toronto. So
he kind of solves the issue that they had last year, right? Which is not having a center in that position.
And Vegas was over the cap. I think they still are, aren't they?
They may be. I mean, I've been on the beach, so you tell me. Somebody's got Puckpedia behind one of these laptops.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it's not. We don't have to worry too much about their cap situation.
They are over the cap.
Yeah, they in Florida and is it Montreal? Somebody else's.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Montreal, eh? Oh, because of Carey Price?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little phony over the cap.
So I guess, CJ, now that era is over, we are now squarely just, I think, we're calling it the Austin Matthews era, right? It can't really be the core four era, with John Tavares.
Do we have a nickname for what this is now?
I mean, that's the best one I got so far. I mean, it's been a few days, so I haven't really thought of anything.
The Berube Bunch.
No,
no,
that's terrible.
no one like that.
Are you underselling William Nylander in this?
No, I think the reason
Should it be the two-headed monster? Or
we could do that. I'm happy.
It's not good.
Listen, Willie was second in goals last year. I think that there's this is not a. He continues to be sort of the third guy of three. And Marner didn't like.
No, he's number two now.
Well, of those three, though, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, he was the one that, they're going to trade him. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade him. Oh, he's this, he's this, he's this. And he's just blossomed into this fantastic player who's nobody complained about either contract.
He's weirdly gotten better pretty much every season.
Every year. Every
Which
year.
is, there's something to steady improvement, right?
But it seemed to bother people in the Marner camp, and I won't say Mitch, that Austin got the captaincy, got a lot of the glory, got a lot of the credit, whatever. Willie, it's never bothered him at all. He doesn't care. And
I don't know if anything's ever bothered him.
Yeah, so I
like anything ever.
There are some guys where this media market, maybe it's not for you. Willie seems like this is the perfect place for him because I see him walking around Yorkville with his two dogs off leash. They're really, really well trained all the time. And he just kind of goes about his business. He lives in the city. He doesn't really get bothered. And he goes to his condo and that's it. And like that. And then he goes and he scores a bunch of goals.
I mean, you would have liked him to be a little more bothered in the last 3 or 4 games of the Florida series.
So that part of it, Mitch was the guy getting booed every time he touched the puck. But we did see disappearances. I think Matthews was injured.
There were a couple line changes where I just wanted to reach through the TV at Willie.
So what does this team now need to be? Because I know Matthias Michelli and Nicholas Waugh are through the door here. And, there could be a Jack Roslovich, which we can talk about in a bit. We'll leave that for now. But what at the top of this team, you've got Tavares at $4.39 million. Which is, he's squarely
3.8.
not 3.8.
It's even better.
He's not even in the, at that number, he's not a member of the core anymore. He's guy on the team, but he's not member of the core. This is not a core 4. This is at max a core 2, maybe a core 3 if you want to include Morgan Riley. I guess Nyes is maybe jumping in. But what is this team now? What is this? Like you sometimes you go through a breakup and you're like, okay, well, like what am I now? That this partnership no longer exists.
Well, I think they got to find it, right?
Over. Yeah.
I mean, they got to, I mean, look, what has dogged them in the playoffs, quite frankly, is they haven't scored enough to win. But
it's crazy, the hockey.
You don't always address that with just superstars. Like, I think that now they're rebalancing the books. I mean, other than calling the core 4 like a really catchy nickname, what it did speak to for a long time, like half the team's salary cap was tied up in 4 players, 4 special players. But still, it didn't leave a lot of money for the other roster spots. And that caused constant challenges. It caused the odd trade out of town. Mm-hmm. It caused, Zach Hyman inexplicably, like a heart and soul guy of the team that left for $5.5 million or something. But probably an amount of money the Leafs could have paid him if they had to prioritize him a little more and made other hard decisions instead. Now they're going to have more flexibility. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to sit here and say, I watched Steve's video there. He's got the Leafs lineup all
which is great,
queued up, which is great.
Love a July 8th release.
But I would say, I'm not going to say that lineup necessarily represents what I'm about to say, but it's going to give them a chance in theory to build 3 stronger lines.
What do you think those...
Which is what I think they have to do. They have to be able to score more down the lineup. Okay. And then you need Austin Matthews to have a bounce back season this year, which if he's healthy would be the safe bet. If you look at his 9 seasons, when healthy and playing,
he's great.
He's going to score more than 50 goals. And I don't think he, as much as obviously him and Mitch Marner had a special connection, I don't think his output is tied just to getting great passes. I think he's someone you count on to produce offense, almost no matter who he's playing with.
It's clear though that the identity, I mean, the goaltending was great last year when they were healthy,
and the defensive play of the team,
awesome,
much better than what it had been the season prior,
and much better talent on the defensive end. Like Brad has come in and rebuilt that defensive.
Just thing. Not a lot of puck movers back there,
right? And so on that point, we'll start there because I think goaltending is safe, right? Everybody's happy with that.
Leave it.
That tandem.
It's safe until we watch game one.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like a guy that can play can't play sometimes.
Hey, at least I knew with Peter Mrazek he wasn't going to play well as soon as he started here.
Right. And I'm not chipping away at Wall or Stolars. I'm just saying it's always a little bit of a let's see what we get when we open the box.
What is there to these, there was and again, it's mid-July rumors, so you'll have to forgive the nonsense, but there is a bit of there was some word about the Leafs checking in on a Dougie Hamilton. There was some word about the Leafs checking in on an Erik Karlsson. Is that something you think that they want to do?
Well, this is what Brad Treliving does. He is one of those GMs that wants to he's not relying on hearing what we think of who's available. He's very active in having those kind of discussions. So it doesn't surprise me to hear those.
So he's a call everybody kind of GM?
Yeah. I mean, once upon a time, he basically finished second for Jack Eichel. It's forgotten about, but Calgary was the other alternate option when he ended up going to Vegas. But the Flames were very much in on Jack Eichel at the time. Maybe that's not even the best example because in that case, he was an aggressive bidder in addition to just checking in. But he's very much keep tabs, very good handle on the market. And so it doesn't surprise me to hear that. I don't think we should confuse it with the Leafs are definitely going to go and make that kind of trade either. Because the only way to make that sort of trade, in my view, would be somehow removing Morgan Rielly from the roster.
And that doesn't seem to be something that he or his family want to do.
No. At this point in time, I have no reason to believe he would want to do that.
Right.
I also don't think the Leafs have approached him about it either.
Do you think Berube trusts him?
Some days. I mean, maybe not implicitly. And look I think Morgan would be the first to tell you last year was very up and down for him. He didn't have a great season. So the one season where Craig Berube has been his coach was not his best. And I'm not going a direct line like that's Berube's fault, but I'm saying Berube's operating off what he's seen and he didn't see Morgan's best. And
it got better with Carlo. I think we should say that.
For sure.
The numbers were better. So maybe a full season.
But look is he going to be on the top power play unit next year?
Well, so this is my thing, Siege, and I keep saying this to the guys.
But points matter to someone like Morgan Rielly. Like there's confidence in
but
that.
He doesn't have a shot from the point. He doesn't have a big shot. So
but
when
we don't see Shea Weber type power play goals anymore
you do see guys that can fire more than a muffin though. And this is the problem is that when Morgan Rielly was on the power play, teams figured out pretty quickly, well, we can leave the point somewhat open because you can cover the other guys off and dive in front of his pucks when they go at the net, right? You can't do that with a guy like Pietrangelo. You can't do that with a guy like Lane Hudson. So if he's going to be the guy, it's got to be more than you can pass, right?
There's different ways to solve an equation. I mean,
that's a Mark Savard problem. I get it.
Yeah, and look, the Leafs power play last year ended up pretty good. Like it started off very rough, but I can't really, you can't find fun. Like that wasn't the reason they didn't get it done in the end. So I do wonder. This is what's funny when Steve said earlier, like they're going to bring back the same 6D. I'm not saying they're not. But I don't know that we can count on that yet because I'm not sure as much as they have definitely improved in that area. I think we wouldn't even debate about that from when Treliving took over to where they are today. And we know that obviously he's someone who's traditionally built a strong defense. He played defense. Mm-hmm. I think he's got an eye for it and a vision for it. And likes tall guys. I wouldn't. He
likes to be able to look him in the eye.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to find a spot on that blue line for a lot of reasons, but especially with my height.
Jesse could.
Jesse's in there.
I don't have the size, like the other way.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
we got to see a little meanness from Jesse. We want to see some cross.
Get home, you just have to drink some gravy every night before you go to bed and just beef up. I think that's what
I'll give you some tips,
Steve. Who's your prospect story that you love telling? Who just ate candy all the time to beef up?
Oh, wow.
Ate candy all the time.
Yeah, they just ate a bunch of candy and they were trying to beef up in the off season. You tell the story all the time.
Oh. Wasn't that, didn't Johnny Gaudreau used to have Nutella sandwiches?
Yeah.
Well, that, and he loved his dad, even when he was learning to skate, put Skittles on the ice. and he like got to eat Skittles based on doing certain drills and stuff.
No
But he
way.
Oh,
was
I
a
gotta try
famous,
that.
Was a famous. I think he had a sweet tooth. And certainly did not have a refined palate. Like that's what his buddies. They would go to like a sushi restaurant, and he would like get a ham and cheese sandwich or something. Like he.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
that's where all the tributes came
Yeah.
from the Jackets fans, right?
Exactly.
So
Right, because Skittles and purple Gatorade, I think, was his
Yes,
thing. Right.
they left that behind at the arena.
But we saw how the defense was going to look. Tough shot blocking, that sort of thing. They also got outplayed a lot, 5-on-5. Not just the defense, the whole team. Outshot a lot.
And think about it. You have these forwards, and you still have a pretty talented. Like the top 6 of this team is still good.
Very good.
Like I know they've lost something, but they still have a lot.
And they're also pretty economical now with
you
Tavares.
go.
I mean, I don't mind Nyes at the number they got him at. Like, it's
There you go. But you need. How do you distribute the puck to them? Like, how do you get them playing where you want them to play and where they can do damage? I'm not sure they have the right mix yet to do that. That being said, it's not to say this trade has to happen this summer either. Like the Carlson thing, it's a stretch for me.
feels like it.
He makes $10 million against the cap right now. And I can tell you for certain, Pittsburgh's not just giving him away. They're not of a mind, we got to get him off the team. So
And they're not retaining half.
they're not going to retain half of that
Yeah.
for anybody. And so a team really has to want him. And so look, Morgan Riley makes about 7.5. Am I in the ballpark?
7.5.
You nailed it, yeah.
So if you were ever removing Morgan Riley, maybe I could see the argument to replace him with Carlson, and maybe you can make the money work with whatever else. But like that's two significant trades, two guys that have no movement clauses. That's very much sitting around in mid-July like, hey, wouldn't this be kind of cool?
Right.
And I'm not sure how much reality is in there yet. But the one thing I'll say on Carlson is he's only got 2 years left. And so even if he doesn't get traded this summer, you're going to hear more of this talk because he gets much, much easier to move in a rising cap environment when there's only that much left. Like if we get into this year's trade deadline and Pittsburgh is nowhere near the playoffs,
It could be a Malkin Crosby, Malkin Carlson sort of deadline for them, right?
I mean, we'll see. It would only be if Malkin wants to go.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, what's interesting about Malkin, he's on an expiring deal.
yeah.
This could be his last NHL season. I know that there's been some discussion with the Penguins and Malkin's camp about does he want to play another year? We'll see where that lands. But it's certainly fair to say, obviously, with all these guys, whether it's Ovechkin, who's also, I believe, on an expiring deal, Crosby's got 2 years left, starting with next season. But we're at the end for all of them in the next few years, but possibly next season.
Malkin just feels like a Panther to me
No!
because he's psychotic and
Where would he even play?
I don't know. But I feel
Backup
like,
goalie?
I just
They're
feel like
good.
They're gonna
They're
get that
set.
done.
Was
it
gonna be
odd
like
to you
Rodriguez
that
from
they
Al-
came out 14 months in advance and said that he won't be a Penguin after this upcoming season?
Did they say that?
Yeah, they had that release and it was in the Athletic and everything. He's
Oh, I missed that.
this is last year as a Penguin.
So basically, they're drawing the line if that's the case, and I have no reason to believe it isn't. I just hadn't heard it. They're basically saying if he wants to keep playing after that, we'll let you play here for the rest of your contract. But if you want to play beyond that, it's up to you somewhere else.
Right.
Look, I think this is not a mystery. I think the Penguins would like to cut ties if there was a neat and tidy way to do it. There's no neat and tidy way to do it. But Pittsburgh, like we're seeing the moves that Kyle Dubas has made now really for 2 straight years. Going back to when they traded Jake Gensel, like that's across the Rubicon moment, right? Because he was a key part of their last 2 cups in 16 and 17. So what's this say here?
There's June 16th. Yevgeny Malkin will return for his 20th campaign with the Penguins next season. It will be his last in Pittsburgh. While it remains unclear if the future Hall of Famer center will retire following 25-26 season, the Penguins are not expected to offer him another a contract with the franchise sources within the organization.
Josh Yohe, my colleague. I'm sorry I missed your report, Josh.
Yeah, so he's done as a Penguin. I don't think this would leak out unless there's some
Josh is
reason for
pretty
the
damn good.
organization to want that out there.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
or Josh is really good at his job and he's got some real intel. So I mean, I think it's a reflection though of what I'm saying here. I do believe they would like to start fresh, but also honoring these guys in the way you know, like respecting what they've done for the Penguins. I mean, it's no stretch to say Sidney Crosby's arrival in Pittsburgh saved the Penguins in Pittsburgh. Like that saved the Penguins.
Mm-hmm.
There's the alternate timeline as they're playing in Hamilton or Kansas City or wherever.
And we're all still using BlackBerries.
And we're all still using BlackBerries. I never
BBM.
graduated to the Google. Did you know I interviewed Jim Balsillie once?
Did you? I've met him.
Nice.
He's quite the guy.
Yeah, I interviewed him back when he was interested in getting an NHL team.
What was he like then?
I was a young reporter. It was when I worked at the Canadian Press. And get this. Somehow this is a really bad story, but anyway, I don't know why I just thought of this.
Give it to us.
But so I woke up that day. I didn't have a car at this point in my life. The interview was in Waterloo, where BlackBerry's offices were, and for some reason I'd lost my license. So I went to like where I was supposed to rent the car, and I didn't have my license, so I obviously couldn't rent the car. So I literally panic called my one buddy who wasn't working at the time, and I was like, "I need you to drive me to Waterloo right now, or else I would have missed that interview," which at the time was a big deal for me to get that interview. So the whole morning was just a total cock up by me. But my buddy drives me out to Waterloo. I go to Jim's office, and I sat there, I think 60 or 90 minutes. And man, he was like, at that point in my life, I hadn't met many people like that. Like, you could tell he was brilliant.
Yes.
And, it was almost like everything in front of him was like cascading waterfalls. Like, I felt like he was like looking around and explaining.
Like that Zach Galifianakis
Yes,
clip, like
exactly.
where like, the math equations are happening.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it felt like. Like, I felt like he was like looking into a world I didn't even understand and just going on and on, long answers, explaining everything. Like, it was damn compelling. It was really cool for me to get to do that. And the only takeaway I want you to have from the story is I nearly screwed that up. I nearly didn't get there.
It's good to know that even people like you make mistakes like that.
Oh my God. And it was my birthday. It was actually the day of my birthday.
Oh, that sucks.
You call your buddy, it's my birthday. You have to drive me to Waterloo. This is my present.
May we all have friends as good as Adam Gallagher, my good buddy all the way
Shout out
from
Adam
my days in Coburg. But I called him literally on a moment's notice, and he just was like, "Okay, I'll drive you to Waterloo."
Oh, that's a good person.
And like hung around while I did it, and then drove me back.
Oh, didn't even make you take the train. Amazing.
Well, could you take a train? This is a long
now
time.
you can.
This
I don't
is
know if you could back then.
This is 20 years ago, probably. Like, it was
maybe
early
not.
2000s, somewhere in there.
So yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. I guess, CJ,
There was no Uber, I can tell you that.
Was it putting Canada on world stage? Rimco CEO Balsillie's latest passion play at the Canadian Press, Chris Johnson, October 29th,
It must be.
2008. It's just an excerpt. I don't have the full article.
Yeah. That would be it. So
This is
2008.
Look at this find, Jesse.
Yeah,
well
there you
done.
go.
So I like that you've at least proven that I didn't make any of this story
No,
up.
it's an article that.
Yeah, look, it's got the Waterloo byline. I was only there because Adam Gallagher drove me there. And what's not pictured in that story is that I lost my license and couldn't rent the car.
Oh,
It's okay.
you physically lost it?
I don't know. I couldn't. Maybe I misplaced it. I don't
You might
remember.
have been too young. There was like a law too where people before 24 years old couldn't rent. I don't know how old you were then.
Well,
25.
I was old. I was old enough. at
you
that
old
point.
enough. Okay. All right.
But anyway.
It exists. That happened.
Hey, so I guess.
Sorry, I don't know how we got there.
No,
I guess
we
it was
went
the
to
Penguin
Pittsburgh.
stuff.
I want to just ask about the Leafs in this sense that, like, what, when we talk about a team like Detroit, one of our major criticisms is, what are you? Like, what are you? When you talk about the Kraken, what are you? But we talk about the great teams. You could tell me what the Panthers are. You could tell me what Dallas is. You could tell me what the Oilers are. When Vegas were at their best, and I don't think they got walked last year. People don't talk about enough how they got dominated in that second round. But when they were at their best, you knew.
And they just lost Alex Pietrangelo.
Yes, that's a question we'll come.
And
back
I know he
to.
played this year, and he was obviously injured because he's ended his career
But he was
effectively.
really good. He's still really good with the injuries.
But I mean, you don't just find him on a tree.
Right. And so I want to know what you think the Leafs' identity is going to be. I don't think it's sustainable that they walk in every game and get outplayed 5-on-5 the way they did last year. I don't think that is fully sustainable.
Berube hockey?
Is that what he does? Like, so what are these Leafs without Marner, and what is their new direction? What's their North Star? If Brad Treliving were here, what's the goal he has in mind?
I'm sure they want to see better 5-on-5 play or more consistent 5-on-5 play. But I mean, they're still, look at it, as much as a coach has as an identity that they're trying to teach, or a GM has a vision. I mean, at some level, you're dictated by who your actual players are, right? Like the team that Craig Berube coached in St. Louis and coached them all the way to a Stanley Cup final. They didn't have they didn't have an Austin Matthews. They didn't have an individual like you.
They had Curtis Sanford. Or was it
Zach.
Curtis? Zach Sanford, not Curtis. Yeah.
No, and they had Ryan O'Reilly, who was awesome and won the Conn Smythe Trophy and is a beast. Still a really good NHL player. But never had a season where he scored 69 goals. In fact, nobody has that isn't named like Lemieux or, the guy that were in the video games when you were a kid, basically. So the point is I think you have to somewhat adapt to what you have. But what are they going to be? They're going to be aggressive forechecking team. I mean, I think everybody's trying to be something like the Panthers, honestly. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not sustainable. And on some level, I think you have to stick to what you are, too. Because if you're trying to imitate, you're not going to...
Yeah, well, look what happened to the Canucks when they tried to become the Bruins after 2011.
Oh, everyone did. No team has been more poorly replicated than the 2011 Bruins.
Yep.
Everyone tried to do it.
Except I would say the Panthers.
We might see it with the Panthers. I'm not saying with Toronto now, but everybody's going to try to be the Panthers now.
The Panthers are... I think everyone was just like, let's just get big. And what's weird...
Yeah, no short guys are getting drafted anymore.
No, but I feel like people are taking the wrong lessons from the Panthers. Like, they weren't the biggest team. They were the most violent, definitely, but they weren't the biggest team. And
competitive is what I think.
Extremely competitive, aggressive, and if you took their speed for granted, you were getting beaten every time. And that's how they beat the Leafs in Game 7, right? It's, you made one mistake. Here we go the other way, and it's in. And now you're playing from behind, and our defense and goaltending is too good, and you make another mistake, and you make another mistake. It's boa constrictor hockey.
It's such a good point that it wasn't necessarily done with size. It was skill there on their forecheck.
They're not small, but they're not big either.
But it wasn't like their ethos is we are just big and that's it. No, we are big most around the lineup, but we also have a relentless play style.
Yeah.
And do you know what a lesson for me from the 2024 to 25 Panthers should be? Like, they made big changes, right? They lost Brandon Montour. They lost OEL, guys that were in their top 4 when they won the Cup.
Lamborghini.
Lamborghini.
But I'm just saying they didn't just bring back the same team. Obviously, they brought back the absolute core players. But there's opportunity and change, right? And I think that's what the Leafs have to look for. I'm not even saying to mimic the Panthers, but there's now different opportunity to spend money elsewhere. And there's a chance to... let's see if Austin Matthews can do more to carry even a line on his own at times. Like maybe...
I think he can do it.
Yeah, well...
I mean, we saw him play...
Sidney Crosby's done it for years, though. Probably the best remembered Crosby line...
Chris Kunitz, baby.
Yeah, and Pascal Dupuis.
Yeah.
And with respect to those guys, 2 otherwise probably third liners on a lot of teams.
I mean, Kunitz was on the Olympic team because of Crosby. There's no other reason Kunitz is there. And that's okay. That's great. That's your dude, man. And what did they do? They won. And so, I think that's the thing with Austin and Mitch. And I want to ask you about the dressing room, CJ, because it seemed like Austin and Mitch had a stranglehold on every coach that came through except for Babs, who wouldn't let them play together. From the time Keefe let them play together, it didn't matter how many offensive coaches, defensive coaches, head coaches changed. They were stapled to each other with the exception of Sheldon Keefe running Bertuzzi, Domi, Matthews, which looked like a pretty sick line actually going into the playoffs 2 years ago. And we were always...
That's why you're hearing all the Domi talk for the top line.
I think he should
It actually makes some sense.
100%. Go back and look at those highlights. They're actually incredible together.
Well, and Domi is a great playmaker. And Austin Matthews shoots the puck. So just start there. And the fact that you've seen some past, reason to believe in it. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And you got a bulldozer in Nyes. So I guess my question is, how did that pairing stick together so long? Why did it stick together so long? And then the next follow-up is going to be, before we go a different direction, is what's the Leafs dressing room actually like? Is there a good culture there?
So 2 very different questions.
Absolutely.
The reason they played together is because you're trying to get both those guys 20 minutes a game. Like on some level... Like as much as you're like, it'd be nice, you could just spread all these 4 guys over 3 lines. Well, there's not enough minutes for the third line, right? I think that's been the problem at times with Nylander, because at times he's been the guy that's got lost in some of those minute shuffles. Now, I think they've addressed that. Obviously, last year, he very famously said he wanted to play more, and Craig Berube played him more. But I think like on some level, there's just so many shifts in a game, and they obviously had a ton of success. So there wasn't a lot of reason not to play them together. And I don't know that it was so much like they were going to pout or something. Like I think that might be an exaggeration of what really went on.
Which is why I asked the question.
They obviously liked playing together though. But I think the Leafs have when you talk about the dressing room, these guys do want to win. That part I can tell you unequivocally, that it doesn't mean that it doesn't apologize for any of the things that have gone wrong when they haven't won, but I don't think it's a lack. Like, I don't think they give a shit, honestly, about winning another award, about who
A
gets
President's
the most
Trophy,
points.
yeah.
Like, I think if you had to come up with a compelling reason last season that Marner, you're on this line and it's not with Matthews, and this is why, and it was explained to them, this will give us a better chance to win, I believe they would have bought into it. I really don't think they're long beyond, like, this is like, it's so funny. It's like the life cycle of an athlete. You get in the league, and even when you're as talented as they were, you got to prove yourself, right? And one way you prove yourself is obviously putting up points, but it's winning awards. It's proving you're at a certain level with your peers. But then eventually you realize it's all empty. It's all
I won a Hart Trophy. I've won 2 Rockets.
yeah,
What
which
now?
are great. And Austin will be proud of those for the rest of his life, and they'll be written on his Hall of Fame plaque one day. Like they're real achievements that I'm not taking anything away from. But the only thing when you get to this stage of Austin Matthews' career, and this is the same for Connor McDavid, like we haven't even got into him, but all this guy cares about now is winning the Stanley Cup. Like, quite literally, that is his reason for being as a hockey player. I think it's the exact same for these Leafs players. Like, even John Tavares coming back to Toronto on the contract he did, you mentioned it. I mean, he clearly could have made more money elsewhere. Obviously, he's made a lot of money. But, every time I've made more money than I had in the past, you still want more. Like, there's a human instinct in that. But I'm saying he sacrificed that because he wants to win with this team. And it doesn't guarantee they're going to win. But I don't think there's any issues culturally with the room about it has to be this way or that way. I think these guys are still trying to figure it out. And they may never get there. Only one team gets to win each year, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we could be having the same conversation about the Oilers, and they've been to 2 straight Cup finals.
Yep.
They've been as close as you can get.
But they quote unquote regressed a game because, they didn't make it.
Well,
to Game
they were
7
further away from winning in 2025. I don't just mean because it was Game 6 and Game 7. I think if you look at the teams.
So on that point, we've talked about on this show that the Leafs would be stupid. It would be managerially suicidal to not have a plan for if Connor McDavid becomes available. You have to have that plan.
Yeah.
You have to have that conversation.
I'm sure it's occurred to the Los Angeles Kings.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it's occurred to the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
You don't think Julian Brisebois down in Tampa might be looking at his long-term roster? I mean, he's a master of keeping his roster in a certain way. I mean, I think that there's...
The Panthers, they're shorthanded.
I mean, obviously there's 31 teams that would like to have him, but there's probably 10 teams that would think that they would be in the running if they ever got a chance.
So if he doesn't sign this rumored 2-year, 3-year pact with the Oilers this summer, that has been thrown out there a little bit, now I'm not hearing so much about it. If that doesn't happen and he does go to free agency next July, how does whatever city they're in, position themselves to be a team that he would want to join?
It's simple. It's simple for me to sit here and say. It's hard to execute. You need to have the cap space to sign him and be able to prove to him demonstrably that you have a chance to win once you sign him to that contract. If you can line it up like that, I think you're in the ball game.
So if you're the Raptors minus Kawhi, like the season after Kawhi, remember where everybody was like, man, if Kawhi was here, they would have won again. And they made it, where they go to seven games in the second round, was it?
Yeah, they lost to Boston.
Boston, and it was in that bubble playoff.
Yeah.
But that was still an amazing team. They were a Kawhi Leonard away. Do the Toronto Maple Leafs need to be that? You need to be forcing teams to the absolute max, even if you can't quite get over the hump. Let's get,
you need to have a plan, because more than anything, like, we all know the contract, wherever, if Connor extends in Edmonton or if he ends up signing a free agent contract in 2026, we all know there's no negotiation. It's literally, he's going to pick his terms, more or less, right? So it's not about, it's about everything else around that. We can accommodate, make you the highest paid player in the game, which you should be, and this is why we're going to win, and this is what we have, and this is our plan, and this is how we're going to attack the summer. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here, quite honestly. I mean, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but
sure.
Look, it's been 2 weeks that he could have extended in Edmonton, and to my knowledge, there's been no discussions about an extension yet. That being said, I think it's a 5-minute phone call. If his agent Judd Moldaver wants to do a contract with the Oilers, it's just a matter of getting the other side on the we're preparing right now. Fill in the numbers. But if he becomes a free agent, of course, the Leafs, they'd be nuts. But again, I think it's any of the original 6 teams are probably feeling like they could be in that mix if they're good enough. Obviously, some of them aren't at this point in time. I think it's really any of the, like Vegas probably has to think about it. I don't know how they do it. I'm imagining they've already signed Marner. I'm imagining they're going to extend Eichel, who's a year out from.
Will Eichel make more than Marner?
God, I hope so. God, I hope so.
Will he?
I don't know.
You don't know.
He might make the same.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way you go about it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know where they're at with those discussions.
But those, I mean, Kaprizov could be available.
Kaprizov, I would be surprised if he doesn't shine in Minnesota.
It sounds like they will give him whatever he wants.
I believe he'll get more than Draisaitl. He'll become, for a time,
The highest paid player.
I guess he wouldn't, because the contract doesn't kick in until July 1st, 2026, even if he signs it now.
Yeah.
And by that point, McDavid will be signing somewhere or will have signed somewhere.
With the Oilers.
So he may never actually be the exact highest paid, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets something like $15 million.
Wow. And long term?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if he's signing, he's going to be one of these last remaining guys who gets an 8-year deal, I think, if he stays in Minnesota.
Can I throw a name out there for Connor? Carolina. They feel like they always have such a solid team and like a weird amount of cap space for a team as good as they are.
Yeah, they have, their problem has been attracting those players, right? That was the problem with Mikko Rantanen. I give them credit for that set of moves. I know somehow they were taking criticism for it. First of all, I think they made out okay on net in the series of moves.
Yes.
Like, I don't think they're any further behind. People have to remember they weren't going to be able to sign Martin Necas either. So they traded him before that became an official problem. It was already an unofficial problem in their minds. But Rantanen didn't want to sign there. But they gave themselves a chance to at least sell him on it. Come hang out with our Finns a little bit. Look, it wasn't for him. That's totally fine. They at least put themselves in that conversation. They wanted to make an aggressive pitch to Mitch Marner. They didn't get a chance, right? When we talk about why they make the trade, Jesse, a team like Carolina, I don't know what the number would have been for them, but it would have been bigger than 12 times 8. I'm sure of that.
Right.
And that's where, if you're on the Vegas end of that, could they put something monster in front of him that changes his mind? Yeah, you didn't want to come here March 7th, but when there's this dollar figure attached to it, maybe, again.
Yeah, if you get a Leon Draisaitl type number, you're kind of like,
Yeah, maybe it sways Mitch's mind.
You don't have to live there forever. Wherever there is, right?
Yeah.
You have to remember, all these players' careers are relatively short.
Yep.
And you make all that money, and then you live where you want to live the rest of the time.
Every place is probably a good place to make 14 mil.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about 15?
And I know you guys have been playing the no trade game. There really aren't any bad places to live in the NHL. Like, every city has, when you're making this kind of money, there's a reason to live in every of the 32 markets.
Yeah. And you're talking about Carolina.
Even Ottawa, Steve. I saw you.
Well, the LeBreton Flats aren't real. We know that does. It's just a made up term.
Alleged Ottawa. I'm pretty sure it just skips from Nepean Gatineau.
My nephew he lives in Ottawa, but he's a massive Sens fan. So I have to defend the Sens on his behalf.
A likely story, CJ. Oh, he lives in Ottawa.
Jesse?
I'm not kidding. I saw him this weekend. It's July weekend, and he was wearing a Sens jersey at my dad's house.
Boom.
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, even in July, he's wearing a Sens jersey. Like, he has the passion, the Sens version of what you guys are all infected with.
He's a sicko.
He's a sicko, for sure.
Yeah.
Carolina coming out, I think, net positive with that deal. Stankoven's still on that ELC upcoming for next season. Like, he's making $800,000 to be their second line right winger behind Jarvis. Like, that's a ridiculous contract to play with for this season. I think Carolina is an underrated in an underrated position right now in the league in terms of the cap space and the amount of talent they have.
And they're dying for that superstar.
Yeah.
And look, they're thrilled to get Nikolai Ehlers, as they should be, right? They pop him up there on the top line, as you're showing, and so he maybe scratches that itch to a degree, but you can be sure if number 97 is available, much like they were prepared to make a monster offer to Mitch Marner, I am certain they would be in the position where they'd want to do that with McDavid. Now, I don't know if they can win. Like, I don't really know. It's too soon to say, to handicap who's the most likely or anything like that. Again, we're in probably the most likely is Edmonton, frankly, to re-sign Connor McDavid, if we're being clear here. But if in this alternate universe where next summer we get a free agent, what is the equivalent if Connor McDavid ever went to free agency? I don't know in NHL history because he's still at the peak of his.
Yeah, Gretzky.
No, we're
Howard,
talking
you.
the decision. Like, we got to cross sports.
Yeah.
We got to go LeBron going to Miami.
They would have the live ESPN feed, I think.
100%. Like, it's so unprecedented in the salary cap world of the NHL for a player to get to free agency that I think you got to cross sports to find an equivalent.
Right, and he would be doing it at this time when the cap is like taking monster leaps.
Exploding.
Yeah.
Like, it's this really unique period in time.
Mm-hmm.
You know it must be in his mind a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And like the Ohtani stuff that happened, what was that, 2 off seasons ago in Major League Baseball? Like,
right.
we're talking the exact same
I'm still
kind
not
of
over
hype
that.
around
Too
it.
soon, Jeff.
Connor McDavid is on a plane. He's on a plane to Toronto right now.
Honestly, with the passion that these hockey fan bases have, I see the same thing playing out where people are following the jet that whatever Connor's on to go sign this contract.
Absolutely.
Like, it could be so much fun.
Jet? He's going to Winnipeg? Is it CJ, can you confirm?
If you're an Oilers fan, they're not thinking this is fun.
No, I don't.
No.
And I have to say,
But that's the joy of having great players is that people are going to speculate whether or not they leave. That's you have great players that people are going to ask.
But then people get offended, like the whole Crosby thing.
Well, we had a whole chat about that last week.
Yeah.
The idea that we even having the discussion is disrespectful to Sidney Crosby, I think that's misplaced. I understand.
Do you know what it's
where
missing?
it comes from.
Because I can tell you, every single person in hockey is having a discussion. It isn't like 4 of us sitting here in the studio.
Like all the people behind the scenes are.
Yeah, all the people that interact with Sidney Crosby daily are privately having this discussion. I'm not saying they're having it with him, but everybody's wondering this. It is the absolute elephant in the room. I mean, it would be naive to think that Kyle Dubas and the Penguins front office hasn't thought about it, that the other front offices in places he might play haven't thought about it to the point where they're thinking we need to keep certain things available in case there's this trade that could happen where Sidney Crosby's representatives were his own family. Like, everybody is thinking about this.
I mean, his childhood, the team that he cheered for, could sure use a 2C. The Montreal Canadiens could use...
you know, the Colorado Avalanche could use another win after losing Rantanen the way they did. And there's other teams, of course, that would want to get in on that. I mean, my point is it's insane to say it's disrespectful to him. Every single person that cares about hockey, or the NHL specifically, is thinking about this, including the people that interact with him every day.
I'm glad that you're saying it. And
this is where I get pissed off, because the notion that it's not a conversation is ignoring that the conversation is happening at the highest levels. Ultimately, the decision rests with one man, and we know who that is. And we know why Sidney Crosby is a Pittsburgh Penguin today, because he wants to be. But the minute that changes, he will no longer be a Penguin.
All right. So that's the information you have. But have you ever just tried plugging your ears and singing?
La 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 la.
La, 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 la. I'm going to ignore every text and conversation I've ever had. He's not getting traded ever.
And it somewhat calls back to what you're asking about Marner. Like, we can't pretend that everybody is just this robot.
Yeah.
And isn't imagining multiple realities. Like, that's the way we live our own lives, right? We all think about other things we might be doing. I occasionally wonder, what would I do if I wasn't a hockey journalist? On a mid-July day, that does cross my mind. I never obviously take action in that direction, but I think everybody thinks this way. Like, I do believe it's normal. And I do believe that part of what's happening with Connor McDavid is obviously looking at where the Oilers are, looking at his own life, looking around the league and imagining where he might fit. Again, that's in the abstract. I'm not saying there's any tampering going on. I'm not saying he's leaving Edmonton, but I just think it's naive to think that even players, Steve Yzerman, who spent an entire career in Detroit, had times when he was a player where he thought, what would it be like to play somewhere else? He was nearly traded to Ottawa many years ago where he grew up. I'm sure at that point in time, him and his family were thinking, where would
that might not be so bad.
If I got traded to Ottawa, like what would that be? Like, this is the reality. Look at this, the flip side of this business. Look how many guys Connor Timmins jumps to mind. Like, he's just been traded 3 times in a year. Like, the same guy.
He's Buffalo now?
He's in Buffalo now. But he jumped to my mind right now. My point is at the same time, when you have these players that are moving all around against their will all the time, you can't imagine the guys that share the dressing room with them don't go hey, that could be me one day.
Yeah.
Like, you would be plugging your ears and going, da 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 da.
You ever heard of completing the rainbow?
No,
it's more of an NBA term, but it's finding its way into hockey, where you've worn a jersey that is every color of the rainbow over the course of your career, and that's got to be an exhausting way to be.
Who's got it now? Like Tyler Toffoli, maybe? He's been probably pretty close.
Oh, he has been pretty
Because
close.
he's jumped a fair bit.
What players have completed the rainbow?
What does purple represent?
Like you'd have to.
Like he
who
played
even
for the
wears
Kings,
purple?
so he probably wore a third jersey that was
It
purple.
would have to include the Kings. Yeah, NBA is a little bit better for that.
You got to be with the Jazz.
Yeah, oh, there you go. The
purple.
Jazz.
There's Shaq's
Raptors.
rainbow.
The Raptors.
Yeah.
Frankie?
Oh, there you go. So Shaq has a rainbow. It's
Oh, wow.
Miami, Phoenix, Lakers, Celtics, Magic, Cavs, and a different version of the Lakers. So there
I
is
actually
some
forgot
like
that
cheating.
Shaq played for Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think Shaq forgot that Shaq played.
Yeah,
for
he was
Phoenix.
there with
Actually,
Nash.
I forgot he played for the Celtics, too. Now that I'm looking at this
that
closely.
was bad.
Yeah, everywhere else I'm very aware that he played for and was a star for, but
Like, look at that. 4 different numbers, I think.
yeah, the 36 looks weird. Everything about that's wrong.
33 looks weird. They all look, it's all disturbing. And like Yager definitely has whatever the NHL equivalent.
Well, yeah,
of
because he
rainbow.
had the Stars, which are green. He had the Devils and the Panthers, which are red,
Flames,
which are orange. What would be our orange?
Flyers. He was a Flyer.
Oh, yeah, he was a Flyer.
There you go.
And Penguins, he was yellow.
Yeah. Huh?
Okay.
See?
Somebody
See?
put this image together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have a Yager rainbow for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder, Chris.
But yes, players play for multiple teams, even superstars, because Shaq was a superstar.
There you go. Yeah, but Shaq's not Sidney Crosby. You just don't understand.
Oh, and Mitch Marner.
But like, I understand the pushback from fans in that like Crosby has never spoken publicly about wanting to do that.
Yeah, because he's only going to speak publicly about it once when it happens.
Well,
You could have
and it'll be
stopped
like
at
this.
Crosby's never spoken publicly. Like,
there you go.
what do we know about the guy? Right? Like,
And I understand
Hey,
them
hey,
also
hey,
cheering
hey,
for what they want.
hey.
You know,
hey, well, listen, we're not all you. I know you know stuff about the guy.
they're also cheering for what they want. They want their hometown hero to stay there for their entire career.
Yeah, and there's a certain romance with sports, right? And there's something romantic about the idea of him sticking in like through thick and thin.
And you know what? Had
But
they
you know
started
what?
this rebuild 2 years ago, maybe it would make a lot more sense.
Well, and I've started to see, and I can't remember, apologies if this was your tweet, and I've read it and I just forgot who tweeted it, but someone's like, well, Sidney, he is the rare player that might actually still be good at 42.
Oh,
And-
certainly.
And I do believe that is possibly the case. And so you could start to maybe twist yourself into thinking maybe they get good again, but the odds are so far against it.
So, okay.
Players are the last to see this usually. Because players have to believe against all belief. Like to achieve everything he's done, he's like defied odds and expectations, right? He's been the best at what he's done for 20 plus years. So he has to believe that like wanting something and working for it, it's going to happen. But like, look at their lineup, man.
But like, I believe Crosby thinks he can turn this Penguins team into a playoff team.
Right. And he probably feels an obligation.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes him different, I think, than some athletes. Like I think he actually feels a responsibility because of what was passed on to him and how great the organization was to him to not just abandon ship the minute. I mean, we can't accuse him of abandoning the minute it got bad because it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's taking that mentality into, was it 2 years left on this contract that the extension kicks in this year? So he's like, I can will this team to victory. I owe the city something. I'm going to try and make this thing work.
Like, is he the longest serving captain in NHL history
I don't know.
with one team?
Well, when was he named captain?
Second season,
Wow.
and he just finished year 20.
His second season, he was named captain?
Yeah,
They're still saying it's
So
Steve
that's
Yzerman.
06,
said-
07.
he's had 19 years as the team captain.
So Yzerman did 20.
Oh. okay.
What? So he's going to beat that. Unless
Unless he leaves. But
Unless he's in Montreal.
the point is like for him, it's, you know, the Penguin sweater isn't just laundry, and Pittsburgh isn't just any old city along the way that he could play in. Like, obviously, he's got all the winning. I don't know. He's got everything you could want in a way.
here.
And
So
I,
I
think
can
that's
see-
what the fans are trying to tell the rest of the world outside of Pittsburgh. This is more than just a team to him. He
Right.
is this organization.
Jesse, can you pull up the Penguins depth chart?
Sure.
Just so we can put a visual.
You want to see Rutger McCurdy on the first line?
Well,
Do you know-
like this is what
How
I'm
deep do we need to
Just
go on
wait.
this?
No,
Just wait,
no,
though.
no. Just you
Just
wait.
wait, though. Do you know how you get to be as good as Sidney Crosby at anything, though?
B from Cole Harbor.
Be
Apparently.
obsessed.
To have challenges and to constantly keep pushing yourself and put like to set the bar even farther and farther away and keep pushing and obviously climbing the mountain. Like I would argue there could be one more challenge for him and it might be the challenge of leaving that all behind, going to a new place, all the unfamiliarity, all the difficult things with that, the risk. It might be a friggin' disaster. Like, who knows? We don't know.
He could go out in the first round with another team.
Yeah, and then he might be like, man, I should have just finished it off.
Could be Gretzky on the Blues.
So
right.
Oh.
And
Hey, they made the second round.
I would argue. Anyway, that's what would make it compelling from the outside. For those of us without skin in the game, those of us that aren't living in Pittsburgh, who aren't a fan of the Penguins, I would just love to see like what happens.
Yep.
What does that look like? I don't just mean him in another jersey. Like we saw it with Marchand, right? Marchand was a pretty beloved Bruin. Now he's not on Crosby's level.
He was captain. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and like, but he was a Bruin through and through, and you're like, how's that going to travel? Well, it
Traveled pretty good.
traveled pretty good.
Yeah.
So here, let's do a little picture-in-picture action. So okay, let's look at this team.
Look at the Mantha. It doesn't even have the number.
Yeah, like this isn't a good team. Okay, great. So Malkin,
Half of these guys can go right on my trade board for next year.
Yeah, Russ and Raquel are
So-
1 and 2.
Malkin, staying or going?
I think he's staying. But I don't know.
You don't think he
I
gets
think
traded?
that's the Montreal Canadiens 2C.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Malkin?
That's my guess, yeah.
Are you drunk?
What are you talking about? They need a 2C. You get Yevgeny Malkin for like 2 months?
Can he still do it? Like, I know
He's
he's
psychotic, though. That's the thing. When he gets back in the playoffs, somebody's going to lose their head.
Maybe I'm missing something. I feel like his fall off. Like, no one wants to call it out because he's an all-time great NHL player.
But has it been precipitous in your eyes?
Well, it's hard to know because look where he's been playing. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to look good sometimes in that environment.
Yes.
Miles have been pretty hard. Rust, staying or going?
Well, I think both of those right wingers are gone.
Okay, so Rust and Raquel are gone.
The question is when, right? Like, it could be not till next March
Right.
because they both have extra years left on their deals, but they're two of the most available quality players in the league.
Letang getting traded or retiring anytime soon?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, interesting. Erik Karlsson, staying or going?
I don't think he finishes that contract in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so Jesse, can you do me a favor and just take out Raquel, Rust, and Karlsson?
Well, you don't have to do
I'm not
On
on,
this-
I'm not on GM mode.
on this already ass roster.
So no, I can't do that.
Like
on this
this
page.
is I don't know. I keep looking at his numbers and how incredible he is, and he can do whatever he wants. But part of me is always going to be curious.
Yeah, I'm still of the mind it's more likely than not he doesn't finish in Pittsburgh.
So,
Crosby.
Yeah.
okay. So what are the
But
names?
obviously he's not there today or the trade would already have happened. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think there's a history there where the Twitter meme of
is he going to finish with 5 years out of the playoffs?
That's what I keep saying.
'Cause
Everybody's like, no, you're stupid. You don't know what you're
We're
talking
already at
about.
3, and I will say pretty confidently they're not making the playoffs next year or the year after.
Lemieux began his career and ended his career with 4 straight years not making.
You know what would be cool?
right.
Lemieux had a different career, though.
But like
Yes, he
Buzz
did.
Flibbit is built out of Sidney Crosby. Like the idea
Right.
of throwing whoever next to Sidney Crosby and him making it work is Buzz Flibbit.
Blake Lizotte is a Buzz Flibbit ass name.
So I feel like Crosby doesn't care who's there. He's gonna try and make this thing work.
But what if he could do it with
But what happens if he-
Celebrini? You know, like a team that like
He's
is
gonna
on
do
the
it with
rise.
Gavin McKenna in a year.
Yeah, and
I
Gavin's
guess
going to
that's-
get Connor Bedarded.
This
There's
is-
not going to be much
No,
else on that team.
Crosby McKenna is gonna be so much fun.
This is the counterpoint, is that if he does hang in there long enough, there might start to be reasons to stay, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like if they do get a McKenna, maybe he takes that seriously, right? Like that he
because
can
Lemieux
then-
did it for him.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
so I'm saying that
get
is
that.
some of that is the X factor. Like I'm imagining they missed the playoffs for the 4th straight year. That's just going to feel even worse. Like it's just like compounded another lost season.
Listen, let's get rid of the garnish. Here, mic's off. CJ, is the draft lottery rigged? Is it rigged?
No.
No, they bring in an outside security team to do it. Like,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ernst and Young.
yeah, they do have a reputation for fairness.
I've never met either of
If it
those
was
guys.
rigged, Connor McDavid would have been a Leaf, I think.
Or a Sabre or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have gone, how many first round or first overall picks had Edmonton had at that point in the last 5-6 years?
They were just spamming the first overall
Yeah.
pick button.
Yeah.
Like
And
Gary's like, no, it has to work.
Nobody on this panel wants to say it, especially Adam on the end there. But Kyle Dubas has done a good job tearing it down now that he's been given the opportunity to tear it down. He's accumulated good assets.
It's the one thing I'll say he does
That's the thing
undeniably
he can
well.
do.
Yeah. So
He's got an
there's-
army of
There's an
picks.
opportunity for Dubas to turn this
Look
thing
at those
around.
picks. That's a beautiful thing if you want to make trades or draft players.
Imagine he gets a McKenna or somebody else at that.
He doesn't even need those picks. Topi Niemela and Roni Hirvonen are available right now.
100%.
Go out and get 'em.
crazy, man. What you could draft so many Travis Dermotts with that. You know what? In fact, if you trade down, you could get 2 Travis Dermotts in the same draft. I like Travis Dermott.
I like him a lot.
I
and
like Travis Konecny
I
a
don't
lot
appreciate
better.
him catching strays here, so you can make a point.
He is actually a beauty.
He's a really
amazing.
nice guy.
No, he's amazing. It's not a hit at Travis. It's more like
I'm just not going to sit
Oh
here.
yeah, is it a compliment? Is it a compliment?
We had garbage drafts.
If you're
outside of the
gonna
first
pick guys who didn't play in the league.
Okay, well, all of the 2020 draft class, with the exception of the first rounder, obviously, because Rodion Amirov passed away tragically.
Yes.
And we've gone through this, but
Okay.
they have not drafted well outside of the first round.
Name those
You know it.
players. Don't be
I
getting
can't
Travis
name them.
here.
I can't name them. That's the problem.
I'm just not going to stand by and let Dermott get dragged.
At least he played a game, right? Like I can't.
He played lots of games and he played well. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yo, I don't
Sorry,
even
you
know.
pushed the button there.
I'm sorry, CJ.
I don't even know if I'm going to do a prospect pyramid this year.
No, you need to. You must.
Here's 5 minutes on Ty Voigt.
Yeah,
Out of my
no.
face.
His contract actually, the team and while we were on the Ty Voigt is unconditional waivers today.
Wait, are you serious?
He's not making the pyramid.
Ty Voigt wants out. The Leafs want him out. So
Get out of here! I didn't.
that's
know
happened.
That.
That happened during our show.
CJ, where were you on that? Where were you on the Ty Voigt news?
I'm so deep in summer, I haven't even been looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Damn it!
Yeah, I know, CJ. You don't give it. I don't know if you care too much about the Ty Voigt news, but that's what happened. So, what are the?
He could do Easton Cowan,
Yeah.
Ben Danford.
Yeah.
There's 2. These videos usually contain like 30, 40 people.
That 21 draft, though, is a success forever because
Sure.
of Matthew Nice.
Yep.
Second round pick.
Great
Bang.
pick. Awesome. What teams and players are you looking at that are kind of getting that aren't getting the play that perhaps they should? Because what's happened here is it's funny. The NHL always finds ways to be not exciting when it comes to trades. Oh well, everybody's up against the cap, so we can't make any trades. Now everybody's got fucking cap space, and it's frozen the trade market. And so,
I don't know. That Noah Dobson trade's pretty sexy.
but that happened before the draft. I'm talking
but-
post July 1st here.
that was like 20 days ago.
I
It's
know,
not so
but
far ago that we can't be like,
the world has changed.
we
since
can't
then.
talk about it now. It's too far in the past.
It is.
There is one
also,
where-
I can't abide good things happening to Montreal. I just can't.
Well, speaking of things happening to Montreal, there is one that we're all sort of sleeping on, and that's Carey Price has 1 year left on his deal, and there's not a lot of money owed.
No, and then there's a bonus to be paid in September.
Bingo. That's the big one.
Once that bonus is paid in September,
That contract move.
I would imagine there's a high percentage that will move.
The money
He's
owed
sharp.
is 2.5 or 2. I can't remember which. After the bonus is paid.
Yeah.
I'm in summer mode, man. I
What's
have no idea.
is
But I
there
know
any-
I know there's a bonus due in September. That
Is there anybody you're looking at going, that could be interesting?
well, define that. Like, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, we talked Connor, we talked Sydney, we talked Kirill Kaprizov a little
Leon.
bit, Jack Eichel. But is there anybody like
Leon, he just started an 8-year deal.
I know.
Is this one of those? I
He
guess
donated a bunch of equipment back in Cologne, Germany.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Oh, good guy. Good guy, Leon. I'm wondering for fans, to me, it feels like, if the reports are to be believed that the Penguins are the only ones trying to get worse, right? The only ones selling.
They are.
So
Look at the actions of every other team.
then there will be a massive attritional thing that happens in the first 3 months of the season where only half of the teams that are trying to get better will, or at least make their own expectations and be in the playoff hunt by American Thanksgiving. There are going to be some firings. And at that point, there will probably be some trades. So if you're like a Leaf fan and you're going, well, we might have a hole in our top 6 for a big name player or something like that, you may have to wait, right? Is that kind of what we're looking at?
Yeah, and I think that's okay. Like, to me, the dumbest thing a team like the Leafs could do is finally get cap space and feel like they need to spend it. Because no one's going to, no matter what the number is on the first day of the season, of all the criticisms you might levy against the Leafs ownership management, it's not that they're cheap, right?
No,
It's
they're
not. We know that if they enter the season with a bit of cap space, it's not because they're trying to.
They're not buffaloing.
They're not skimming some money off the top. They're trying to make the best use of that cap space to win. And so, I don't know how it's going to play out. I still think that they're out there trying to get better now. So there's a chance that they end up, being right at the cap to start the year. But I also think that there is a universe here where this does seep into the season a little bit.
And for a lot of teams, it seems like.
Yeah, well,
Like the Ducks wanted to spend big, and then I don't know if they spent big. They got some players. They haven't signed Mason McTavish. Like is that a relationship that's on the rocks? Is that something that can be mended? There seems to be something weird going on there.
I think it's a player with some leverage. It's, he's definitely a player teams thought, can we get him through offer sheet? And I think for the reasons you're highlighting, you can't, because Anaheim was going to match that offer. But he's someone for sure other teams have identified as a player they'd love to get their hands on, with good reason. He's good. He's young. Plays center. That's actually, you don't need to go to a next.
Yeah, that's good enough.
That satisfies all the categories needed to try to do something silly to get him. I don't know that the relationship's necessarily gone bad there. It's just he doesn't just have to take any old offer, right? He's got the old leverage, which is a nice thing to get when you're a player, because it means you're going to get some more money in your bank account.
Okay. On a similar vein to Mason McTavish, you sort of look at the age and talent level. Like, why was Trevor Zegras in trade rumors basically from the beginning of his career onward? And why did the Ducks feel the need to move him?
Well, he was in those rumors initially because they were worried, and keep in mind, this was even under a previous administration than Pat Verbeek, that he was a one-dimensional player. He had those 2 60-point seasons really early in his career, but they had concerns internally with that team about his commitment to becoming a more trusted player, someone they could, play the kind of minutes you want with that young star and be trusted defensively. Now, to Zegras' credit, and I know in the last year the numbers didn't follow it, they did actually feel like he started to make that transformation a little bit. But I just think that they got to a point where the relationship was strained enough that they just felt, okay, let's rip the Band-Aid off. They're trying to, I'm not saying they couldn't be good with Trevor Zegras, but the Ducks are really trying to be good next year. And so I think that it was easy to keep a player around like that when you weren't necessarily trying to be a playoff team.
Yep.
But if the doubts were there, if maybe the player wasn't fully bought in, and honestly, they were getting to the end of the window where they could trade him, right? Because he's getting close to being an unrestricted free agent. Everything lined up where this summer it made sense for them to cut bait and go. Now, they probably got a less of a return than they might have if they had done it sooner. But that doesn't mean at some point you just got to do it, I think. Even if you could have, in hindsight, been like, you know what, maybe we should have traded him 2 years ago. It doesn't mean that's not a good reason not to trade him today, I guess, if that makes sense. And so why did it happen now? It's because it's all systems going Anaheim now. I don't know what's going to happen. If you actually look, they're a bit of a forgotten team in some ways. I believe they had the highest year-over-year point gain of any team last season.
They did.
Yeah.
Or second.
And they had some of the best goaltending in the league, which is why it's a shame they had to move on from, I think, John Gibson, because unless they got somebody else in there.
Lucas Dostal, though, a lot of people think he's the real deal.
I think he's the real deal. But I mean, John Gibson playing 30 games is not bad either.
And now they got Mrazek.
Yeah, what's up with the Ducks having Dostal, who is the real deal, Mrazek, and also Husso?
Let's see. There's still time, right? I mean, look, at worst, you're putting one of those guys on waivers and setting him down. Mm-hmm. Most teams want to run 3 deep.
I like this team a lot, by the way. I am
Ducks truther.
on it with the Ducks. I do think they're a good team.
Adam, you're such a quack.
But
I like this team.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it fully. But getting Chris Kreider is interesting.
Especially
it's
if
a lot
Chris
of
Kreider's
average.
healthy.
It's a lot of mid.
Are you related to Ross Johnston?
Me?
No, Adam.
Okay.
Not you.
That would be really weird.
CJ, the most
he's my cousin. Why do you ask?
The most important question out of the Zegras deal: how do you think Dixie D'Amelio will be received at Philadelphia Flyers games?
I don't know what that is. What's a Dixie D'Amelio?
Dixie D'Amelio is she's a big TikToker. Big TikToker.
You set me up, Jesse.
Oh, well, I thought I'd ask the question. You're the insider.
So you're gonna have to explain the joke now that I am
dating
the
a
joke.
famous TikToker named Dixie D'Amelio, and now
He's
she's
dating her.
Now, yeah, they've been dating for a couple years now.
Does he appear on her TikToks?
I don't know. No, not really. But she was at a lot of games at the Ducks games in Anaheim. She's LA, obviously based, but now he's playing in Philly, and she's got to go deal with a Philadelphia hockey crowd.
Yeah, the jerseys don't change much, but the crowds do.
The crowds do, and the location is definitely not close to where she's living in LA.
No, well, what kind of TikTok city's Philly? Like maybe she'll be a rock star there.
Maybe, yeah. I don't. I guess you don't have any insider information on the D'Amelios.
No, that one went right over my head. And I knew it was something like this, but I didn't know. Literally, I've never heard that name before. Till right
Really? Okay.
now. Not once.
Yeah, I guess it's not in your.
Never get old, kids. Never get old.
We gave you a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think that there is
Are you on TikTok, Adam?
Am I on TikTok? I'm on it. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're on it through SDPN and stuff.
Like, do you produce them and everything?
Well, our producers produce them. I do
you
not
do
produce
not.
them. I am not an editor.
Because I'm immediately looking to you as like the next oldest guy.
Oh yeah, no. Well,
In the room.
Steve and I
That's
are the same
actually me.
age.
Okay.
Steve,
Me by a month.
and Steve can edit.
But I assume
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
I think of him as young.
Immature.
Yeah, like I think of his brand as
Stupid.
I think I'm
young.
older than Steve. Like
Yeah, I look at you as the adult in the. Well, Jesse's a true adult.
Yes.
Steve's brand skews younger, so
Yes.
you get that feel.
Because
Like-
I shaved.
Yeah, that's fair.
I assume that you know about like you're basically a Zoomer, but in like dad bod.
Ooh, I'll take that. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll take
I'm not body shaming you, by the way. I'm
No.
just trying to
No.
I'm trying to drop some terms and make it seem
No,
like I know what I'm talking
no, you
about.
got it.
No,
We're following.
We got coffee before the show, and when I stood up, I'm at the age now where I can't get up and sit down silently.
You're not sneaking up on anybody.
No, it's been a long time since I did any of that.
You're probably like lifting kids all day, like, ugh.
Man, that's the.
No,
the-
God, you got him started on kids. Now
No.
we're gone
It's
for
just-
20 minutes.
Adam's upset at this.
It's breaking my heart because
conversation.
it's getting harder to hold them both at the same time,
Oh yeah.
and they know that.
You're
so
pretty
it's
much
getting-
out of that, aren't you?
No, it's getting because it's getting harder. It's getting funnier to them,
Right.
so they ask for it more.
Adam, would you rather have Steve talk about this or traffic?
All the kids, all day.
Okay.
The traffic conversation.
So let me talk about the birds that I saw while in
Oh
traffic.
my God, it's. What
Are you a
happened to my-
birder?
Buddy, it snuck up on me and punched me in the face.
You
What a
like
thrill.
birds?
It punches good content in the face.
so
Dude,
there's
you'd be
this-
blown away by it.
There's this app here, Adam. Leave the room for a second. There's this app called Merlin. that
Okay, this is actually
identifies
more
birds.
shocking to me than the Dixie D'Amelio.
So you get it.
You
to-
have a real list of birds that you've seen?
you get it to listen to bird calls, and
Dude.
I just hit 60.
This is so bad for your brand.
60. I found a great egret the other day in Ajax, and what a thrill! I got to tell
You're going to pass Austin's high goal mark in a season?
Yeah.
What are you
70
doing?
birds?
What am I walking around
Save
the
yourself
woods?
from you.
I'm walking around the woods in Ajax, and
This is terrible for the brand. Like, I really don't like this.
there was a
I
wood
just
duck.
finished saying that you skew young, and now you're skewing grandpa.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what's going on?
Sometimes, Chris, you friggin' see a belted kingfisher and it changes your life. Mm-hmm. You ever see a belted kingfisher? Look
if
at
I
that.
have, I will never care.
Look at that. That's a unit. That's a unit of a bird. Look
You
at that.
saw one of those.
I saw one of those.
got the market
I
in
saw
your
it and I heard
Do we
it.
have any proof that you saw it, or did you just click a thing in an app?
I think there's a way that I can click on it and it takes me back to when I heard it.
Yeah, but like, do we have any
So
proof?
do you
Like-
play the sound into the app and it verifies that that's the bird?
Yes.
Because that would be smart.
Let me see. I can play the great egret if I can find it. Here, one second.
Adam's done.
Yeah,
man.
well, you
Leave.
shouldn't be.
Let's go back to talking about kids. This is
No, this is really
this is
good.
taking a turn.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, because Jesse's encouraging him.
I know.
He should not feed the animals. Okay, do not feed the.
What
animals.
other weird shit are you into? Like that was I would never guess that.
I got a fossil kit a couple Christmases ago, and like chisel and all that shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you go down to Lake Ontario, you bust open some shale, you find some.
Some of us just watch sports.
This is me trying and failing to have depth.
What's the CJ? What's the thing like when you left? Because it's been like a week, right? When you left things and then went to the beach and then graciously came
I didn't
back from
actually
the
go to
beach.
any beach.
I know.
Well, I went to the Coburg Beach.
Yes. And you know what? A great beach. Underrated beach. I wonder.
Although we don't want outsiders to know about that.
No, we won't say anything.
Too many people know now.
No one's here.
Is it
no one's
is it becoming like a place?
It's just busy.
Because Port Hope
Oh, wow.
has that too, right? Where they're like, listen.
I don't know. I would have to go to Port Hope to know anything
Oh,
about that.
yeah. I know. Port Hope's like, hey, we got that nuclear problem. You don't want to swim in our beach, and then everybody swims in the beach, right? Because they have some sort of like nuclear waste that's buried, and it's
Yeah,
like,
but
don't
I
come
mean-
to our town. We have nuclear waste, and meanwhile, it's gorgeous.
Do you know what the most shocking? So I grew up. Port Hope was the big rival. It was
yeah.
it was like a Springfield, Shelbyville kind of vibe. And one of my buddies I grew up with, I bumped into him in town. He goes, "Just so you know, Port Hope's the new Coburg."
Whoa!
And I was like,
Holy-
wow!"
Wow. Did you punch him?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I believe him.
You believe him?
He lives in Port Hope now.
Wow.
There's lots of good antiquing to be done in Port Hope.
Yes, there is. They also shoot a lot of movies there.
Yeah, but you can bird like hell in Port Hope, honestly.
Yeah, it was shot there. You could bird like.
You could bird like hell in Port Hope.
There you go.
I could so bird in Port Hope. Thanks, CJ. I'm going to do that.
CJ, when you left it, like when you kind of were like, okay, it's vacation time, what was the biggest story that you're like, I'll be following that one in the coming season? Not one that's like immediate, but one that you're like, I'm interested in where this thread goes. It might go nowhere.
It's got to be the McDavid story. I mean, I know we've been over that, but that's the one. The entire league, to some degree, hovers on what happens with that decision, right?
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about a team that's been to 2 straight Stanley Cup Finals, and the fact that it's so clear what's going on, right? That they've been open, like we're waiting for Connor. Mm-hmm. We're all waiting for Connor to see where it lands, and. You know, it's not really yet a story. It's like one of those things. It probably becomes a story if it gets to September 16th and he's not signed just because he's going to be coming to training camp.
That would be the first question you would ask.
Mm-hmm. It might be the first 10 questions, like some variation of what's going on here. What are you thinking? Why did you do, and over time, like if the season goes along, like with Marner, for example, was the first set of questions last year at Leafs training camp that he played his year and it perked up now and again, but he was able to. So, I think that's probably the biggest story I'm just wondering about. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, honestly, I think about hockey less than you guys. I feel like.
I believe you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like Steve legit is texting me what's going on with Brett Leeson.
Yeah, he was.
And you still haven't answered.
He was all over you about Steven Lorentz. I know that.
Just all over me.
Yeah, and
All over you.
and that ended up the way you wanted, 3-year deal.
yeah, which is great.
The passion stays in Toronto.
100%.
I respect the hell out of it, but when I get away, I get away.
Okay.
And so I'm not trying to dodge your question,
No.
but like the true answer is like, I stopped working and I was like, this is amazing. And then I went and touched grass. I'm living like a monk now. I'm going to bed at 9:30 every night and
Waking up early, going for a run.
going for a run, trying to beat the heat as much as possible. And
How many straight days?
I just passed 1900 on Sunday.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
So 1902.
So it'll be 1,000 in October?
2000 on October
2000.
20th. I believe.
Okay, October 20th.
20th or 21st.
Jesse?
Hockey as a whole seems to be in a really good place right now, though. They're doing the CBA vote that went through, and Gary Bettman's going into like the sunset of his career. It appears. I don't know if he's going to try and hang on for.
It's been a long sunset.
but it's been a long sunsetting of his career. But he seems to be leaving hockey in a really good place, where they're talking about expansion. They might beat the other 4 major North American sports to 34 teams if they get to that point. And
Is that a race you want to win?
Maybe, maybe not, but it seems like hockey's in such a good place that they want to keep growing the game. It seems the game's getting bigger, especially 4 nations, the amount of noise around that. What is your opinion on like how he's leaving things right now in hockey as a whole and the general direction it's going in terms of the overall landscape of the game?
I mean, it just shows you if you're stubborn enough and determined enough, you can change the view of everything. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when I was a media member and people would deride him still on like the Sun Belt strategy or like, whatever, they'd use that word against him. And here we are at a moment, there's been 6 straight Stanley Cups with the teams from Florida in them. The Sun Belt's looking pretty good right now. We had the best free agent, Mitch Marner, go to Vegas. Maybe the second best this year would have been Mikko Rantanen or whatever, however you view those 2 players, but he goes and signs in Dallas. I mean, the Sun Belt's having more than a moment, and Gary Bettman's having a moment because, for good or ill, this league is, I don't remember it's been on more stable footing. Like,
Do you think he rushed the Canadian rights deal? Like, it feels like really long term when it didn't need to be.
why would you have gone shorter?
Well, because you probably are leaving money on the table in the back half of that 5-year plan, are you not? I mean, the economy is in a good place, generally speaking, although it's not working for the working class as much. And we all know that. I'm not going to get into that. The economy is hitting.
Which door
like,
do you want to open?
S&P
Because I
500
would actually love to get into that conversation.
But the reason I say that is because even with the tariff shit and all that, the stock markets are going berserk right now, and there is a lot of uncertainty. There are wars. There is a total reorganization of the international trade order. But in 5 years, I would expect some of that to be settled. And a new set of problems to crop up. I'm curious about with the way that, the NBA for me has sort of gone to this crazy growth curve, and you're seeing a lot of guys sell out of their teams, and like even the Buss family sold the Lakers because they feel like, well, this is sort of the big growth value that I'm gonna reach this peak. The NHL feels like it's still got to go on that curve, and I wonder about
the NHL's on that curve though.
I know, but it's not at the top of it. It's on its way up, and I just wonder if 5 years from now the NHL would be like, damn, like it should be 1.2 to 1.5 billion a year. And we could have had that. And that's, maybe that's not 500 million Canadian or American dollars over 1 year, whatever. But like you compound that over a decade, that's $2.5 billion.
But I think that goes to what CJ was talking about there, the stable footing that they're on. I think it added to Gary Bettman's complete picture of like everything is kind of set, including the media rights deal. So him signing that adds to everything is kind of done and checked off the list for him.
Yeah. Now, I mean, he hates the question, but the question is how long does he stay?
Right.
Can't be too much longer.
Right. And I wonder.
You promise?
Alan threw out there that there's a potential that even when he leaves, he'll still be on as sort of an advisor.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nuts to have someone run a business as long as Gary Bettman ran it and to not have him involved. Like,
yeah,
it might, I don't know how they'll phrase it, but you want to keep people like that around. Like his institutional knowledge alone,
he knows everybody and everything,
is worth an immense amount to the NHL. You would never want that level of an executive who's had the dealings he has the mind he has, to not have him involved. It would only be as much as he's willing to do. And based on the evidence in front of us, he doesn't look like someone who wants to go play golf.
No.
Right? Like
he likes this.
He long could have done that. So I would be surprised if he wasn't involved either in an official capacity or maybe more of an unofficial one.
How do you think the players made out in the CBA?
I think it's
because I know you read it. I
did read it. There's 800 or 900 players in the union. There's probably a segment of players that don't like things. That I think that will always be the case. That's the value of negotiating on behalf of 32 owners. And of course, there's different views within those ownership groups. One thing that didn't get talked about at all, but they've restructured a little bit how the revenue sharing works between teams. And among owners, that could be controversial, right? Basically, the richest teams are funding the least revenue generating teams to some degree. And so
is it more now?
It's more, yeah. The formula is very complicated. So I would urge you to read it, and then we...
Yeah, we're not going to ask you to do it,
But yeah, basically, because I think this is one thing we have to be cognizant of. As we go into this world where the cap's jumping like it's going to, we're going to have way less teams spending to the cap.
Yep.
And we're going to, I think on a long enough time frame, we're going to get back to where there's a have and have not to some degree. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be a cap floor. So that's meant to keep the gap. You don't
keep the Pirates.
You don't want the Pirates and the Yankees, right? You don't want that baseball version. But there's going to be a window there. And so how do you keep the teams that don't generate as much money, frankly, in business? You need more revenue generation. So anyway, that's controversial among owners, of course, because how that pie gets split up is something they would debate about. But with players, there's so many issues, whether you're...
ELCs stood out to me. The entry-level contracts, they're the same.
Yeah, well, one thing I'll say about unions generally is that they don't look after people that aren't yet a member of the union too much. Like this is all unions. This is not a shot at the NHLPA or this specific CBA. Like you don't account for the people that are coming in. Do you know what the kind of deals unions make all the time? Everyone who's been in gets this deal. The next people get that, like some worse version, for example, of benefits. I've been part of a union where that existed, where there was like a tier depending on when you're hired by the company. So what unions often do is trade the future rights of the union members for better current rights. Because the current people are in charge. I mean, I think it's human nature. I think it's a function of unions. I'm not taking aim at the PA here, but the original, players, you talked to Colby Armstrong, my buddy. I think, was he drafted in 2001, Jesse?
I can look it up.
I asked because you have a computer.
You should ask Steve.
I think you're right.
I think he was drafted in 2001.
You would know.
I remember him telling me about his signing bonuses. They were a lot more than any player can get now. And he was a first-round pick, but he was in the...
He was drafted 21st overall in 2001.
There you go. And because at that time, there was no entry-level system, and he was able to get, I believe he got 3 bonus payments, and I don't want to throw the number out because I don't want to be wrong and I don't remember, but he got paid more than what the player since, and obviously all his peers did at that time. And the entry-level system came in the 04-05 lost season / the Not only did they come up with a salary cap, not only did they roll back all existing contracts by 24%, they also came up with this entry-level system, which includes obviously the bonus A's, the bonus B's. That's gradually grown over time, but it's still, it's been pretty muted. So you're right. You could get to a world. It's funny, Julian was asking me about this on the last CJ show. Could you get to a point where the NIL money could pay someone more as an NCAA player than what that person could get as guaranteed money on an NHL contract?
Especially if you're able to combine that with
it's possible
endorsements, right?
To be fair, to be fair, NIL money really isn't there for hockey at that level yet. But maybe in the next 4 years it could. I mean, I don't know how.
That is a reality that exists with the WNBA right now, where their entry-level salaries are so low that Caitlin Clark in particular is making like hand over fist in the NCAA, and it's not even close to what she makes at the WNBA level. Well, so that is a reality amongst pro sports.
I will say that this is all good for players, though. Maybe the entry-level system didn't grow a lot in this 4-year extension of the CBA, but if that starts happening, the system's going to have to adjust to it, because NHL teams are not going to want to be in a position where they can't sign their top prospect because that player wants to stay in the NCAA because they can't physically give that player more because of the rules. So, look, not a perfect CBA probably for players, but do you know what's bad for players? Missing time. That's money you never get back. Forget even just how annoying it is and how much it sucks, and it's probably, but
we're thrilled about it. For us, I mean, we run a network on it, right?
Right. So. But if you were a player, we could probably find the perfect player, and I don't have this person in the back of my mind, but who lost the entire 04-05 season and then lost half of 2012, and so they lost a year and a half out of what could be like a 10-year career.
Ovechkin.
Oh yeah, Ovi.
Yeah.
Right, but he's at least played long enough that we don't have to take up a collection to make sure that he can.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
But there are some players that lost a year and a half out of what could only ever be a 10-year career, and yes, they make a lot of money compared to you and I. But if your career is only 10 years, it's not a lot of earning potential.
What about Colby Armstrong, who came in? He didn't start his career in the NHL until the 05-06 season because he played in the AHL before that, and then played up till 12-13.
Wow.
So
damn,
right there is a pretty good example.
I know, and then he went to Vecchia.
Is that how you say that?
Is that
yeah, something close to that. Vecchia.
Okay. When Liljegren was playing there, we were not pronouncing it.
You don't go heavy on the X.
Joe?
You don't go Vax Joe.
That's what we thought it was.
I thought it was Vasho.
But I think I'm not perfect. I'm sure you have some Swedish listeners, so please chime in and tell me.
Yeah.
But it's something along the Vecchia, a little bit more of a.
There's somebody who probably left some money on the table because of lockouts.
And
it's okay. I'm sure Sportsnet.
He was in a Walmart when he got the call from Brian Burke to say he was being bought out by the Leafs.
No.
Yeah, he was in a Walmart in suburban Pennsylvania. Or a Target or something like that, but like a big box store.
Oh my God.
And just wham, we're buying you out.
That's rough.
Hey, Colby, it's Brian. Uh-oh.
You mentioned their...
I bet you that was like a 7-second conversation.
Yeah.
I bet it was like...
Buying you up.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
They're probably, Brian's a great guy, but I can't imagine there was a lot of warm and fuzzy.
No.
Expansion, we touched on briefly. You said you weren't sure if it's a good idea that they win the expansion wars against the other teams. Are you pro against expansion?
I do wonder when too much is too much.
Yeah.
But the one thing I didn't account for when I made that quip to you is the other leagues don't have 7 teams in Canada.
Yes.
Right? And so there's a lot of opportunity the NHL is leaving on the table if they don't expand because they have some major American markets where, first of all, there's massive demand for teams. To be fair, this isn't the case of the NHL saying, hey, we're opening an expansion process. Come get us. I do actually believe they're in that level of demand from very well-heeled people. And they're asking $2 billion expansion fee. So that's hard to pass up.
Because that's money the owners just split. That doesn't have to go to the players at all. It's just a check they split.
I just wonder when does it get too many teams? I don't know the answer. Maybe this fear has probably existed if you went back to when it was a 21-team league and they shot up to 30 pretty quickly.
Damian Cox wrote a book on that. He's like, the league peaked in 93, 94. And I think Damian's life probably peaked in 93, 94. And that's why he wrote it that way. Right? When you're younger, it's it's easy to look back on your young years ago. That was super fun. But dude, to tell me that 32 teams or 30 teams hasn't been good for the league is a joke. That's a joke.
Right. And who am I to say that there's a magic number?
Well, I think the thing is it allows for a guy like William Karlsson to go from playing 8 minutes a night in Columbus to score 40 goals with the Golden Knights. A lot of these guys are super talented. Sometimes it's just opportunity, right? I'm pro Put 40 teams in. Let's go. And because I look at the soccer leagues across the pond in Europe, and there are a million of them. They're all well attended, and people love these teams. And I'm like,
London's got like 46 teams.
100%. Like you can't tell me that there isn't talent out there that's exciting. Right. That is always the argument. It's not that there's too many teams because there'll be too much revenue or there won't be fans to go. It's there will not be the talent level. I just don't believe that.
Do you think you create too many haves and have-nots with the salary cap going up and too many teams?
I think that's a fact of pro sports. Pro sports is have and have not.
But then you got fan bases who just like winning's so tough right now, 1 of 32, and it just keeps getting worse the more you add teams,
and you know what you do? You extend the regular season and don't do a playoff play-in. That's how you do it. Like, to me, the biggest miss on this is they didn't go to a play-in. I am absolutely pro play-in.
Oh, me too. Sorry, I thought you were saying the opposite.
No,
he was being sarcastic.
It's Gary that's
literally my brain just went into summer mode. And I just wandered off, and I thought you were arguing that this season should be longer.
You said it very emphatically. You were sarcastic.
Adam was having a sarcasm.
I am 100%.
And I was like, Steve's into birds.
Maybe I should go with him sometime.
You should. TikTok star.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest miss for me is they added to a home game for away and home or whatever.
Yeah, we're at 84 now.
But that there's such a resistance to going 6 through 10. You're doing a play-in. Tell me that wouldn't be one of the most exciting, incredible weeks of hockey we've ever seen.
I can tell you, internally, the demand for that is so high that I shouldn't say the minute, but when there is a change in commissioner and there's a new approach to this, I think it'll be one of the first major changes the league makes.
7 through 10, by the way.
Oh, 7 through 10. Yeah. I don't understand why Gary digs his heels in on this one, though. It's like, here's a great revenue-making opportunity for a whole bunch of, the owners should be like, Gary, fine, have your 82, 84 game season, but Gary, that's 2 or 3 more home games for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing the other side of this argument. So
sorry, what I mean is you're not Gary, you're Chris. But Chris,
don't make me play.
CJ's not making the decision.
What would be the resistance to that?
I think it's that apparently the TV networks have not shown a big demand.
Well, there's one in Canada.
Yeah, and they're not exactly forward thinking.
Right.
I'm
just
saying.
Yeah.
So there's not this demand at the network level where they're like, we want this and we'll pay more for it or whatever.
Sure.
But again, I feel like you create that market. No one was bidding on the Four Nations, which, by the way, they just gave away to their existing TV partners. But you know what? They'll be bidding the next time they have that tournament because it was a massive success.
Yeah.
So I think you create the market and then you serve it. And then the second one would be that Gary, and I will say, I believe he's right with this because I'm heavily biased, but he thinks the Stanley Cup playoffs are already the best thing going in pro sports. So his view is why even monkey around with something that's working perfectly? Why change anything?
Right, yeah. I mean, listen, when you build a Ferrari, why build another one? Why try to outdo
make
your
it
best?
better?
This is where I have an issue with the
You're going to nail the apex better than me.
I'm just saying.
Let's go.
But I'll say this. Some of the best teams, don't the best teams try too much? You change too much and then you fall from grace a little bit?
Sure, but that's the fun part about pro sports.
Well, I think that he's worried about changing something that doesn't need fixed.
Right.
In his view. Okay. Again, I'm not taking that stance.
You're on board.
I'm very much on, just because I know even the other sports I only pay half attention to, when there's a wild card game, it's really easy to understand.
Yeah.
Hey, one of these teams, their season is over, and the other one, it's basically hand you a game 7.
Blue Jays, Orioles, Edwin Encarnacion.
Right. Awesome. And you can have it on, I think the key in hockey is you probably don't want too much time off for the teams that skip that.
Okay.
Because I think it can actually become a negative thing. A little bit of rest is good. But I think you got to launch right into it and then get into the first round.
Yep.
Which will be a disadvantage to those teams. It's sort of disincentive to be in a wild card. Not only might your season be over in a 1 game or maybe 2 out of 3 situation right away, then you've also got to play a series.
Against the rested team.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But look, I think there's no way, I'll tell you, there's no way this doesn't happen in our relatively near future.
Okay.
I just don't believe, it's very clear Gary Bettman will not be in charge when it happens.
When he leaves, do you think we'll go back to 1-8 seating?
I hope. I mean, this is the one I don't understand why that was a problem in need of a solution, or would a solution in need of a problem? Help me out with that saying.
Yeah, it's the
nobody had a problem with 1-8. Nobody. I get it. They're trying to force feed you more divisional matchups. The problem is some divisions are LA and Edmonton, which it's fine, but like there's no real rivalry there, right? But they played 4 years in a row now. My point is you don't get 4 Calgary Edmontons, which, okay, that would probably be pretty great. 4 Battles of Ontario or 4, to be fair, the Florida battles have been going on a fair bit, Lightning and Panthers. But you also have divisions where teams aren't really rivals. They're just in the same division. Mm-hmm. So you could get like 4 Carolina and New York Islanders. And it's like, okay, yeah, those teams are in the same division. There probably will be some bit of hate there, but like it's not.
Every Leafs Lightning game should be bloodlust at this point, and it's just, it's not.
I feel like the teams, like, I almost feel like there's like mutual respect.
Yeah.
Which is boring.
There's no like enemies. There's no enemies in that game, really.
It's crazy given the setup that there's only been 1 Battle of Alberta and 1 Battle of Ontario.
Yeah, and neither series probably lived up to the hype.
No.
No. Not really.
You know what I mean? But that's just the way it's going to go. I guess my argument would be you're just as likely to get the odd Battle of Ontario or Battle of Alberta in a 1-8. Like just over if you're willing to test it for 8 years in a row, it's probably statistically going to happen. You're going to get those or a Rangers Islanders series at some point or whatever you're sort of aiming for. And then you're always going to have to live for it, especially with more cities and more teams. You're just not going to have natural rivalries in a 34-team league.
And it's also tough to have every team in an 8-team division hate each other, right? Like the divisions are too big.
Okay, you guys are Leafs fans. How many other Atlantic Division teams do you hate? Like actually hate?
Boston, a little bit of Ottawa after that playoff. That was good. But I still don't hate them.
Do you really?
I don't really hate them. I think Boston
Isn't
really.
that like hating like your cousin or
Panthers?
something? Like,
yeah.
like I just mean like I get that there's like a bit of stuff
I don't even hate Montreal. Like
Max 3.
Right.
Yeah, like the Leafs and Habs don't have enough recent.
They have to be good at the
anything.
same time, and that would have helped.
Yeah, they had the one playoff series, which like I hate the Leafs a lot more after that series than Montreal. Like I didn't come out of that series going, "Damn Habs." I was like, "Oh, the fucking Leafs." I'm like, it feels the Leafs play against 2 teams every time they take the ice, and so I would say probably Bruins, Sens, Panthers.
Right. And if you're like a Kraken fan, and they're new and they've been in one playoff, so like it's not fair maybe, but like how many teams do they hate? Like anybody? Maybe
Colorado?
Vegas? I don't know. Do they view Vegas as like
Maybe Vegas.
they're more
They don't have the rivalry on that.
I know. Maybe Vancouver, I guess, but there's been nothing to hate.
That's just geography.
I know, and some of those things will take years, right? Although San Jose and Vegas got a pretty immediate hate. Now, part of that was having a killer playoff series,
Oh, that
too.
was crazy.
So
Crazy.
anyway,
I think it works as often as it doesn't.
I just don't
at
think
minimum.
you can force it.
No.
And they're trying to force it right now with this divisional thing. And at the expense of, I think they make the regular season less interesting because some of those years, the division's basically like sewn up. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like 1-8 would be more fluid. And then even better, 1-6 guaranteed, 7-10, because you're bringing in teams 11 and 12 and maybe even 13 right to the end of the year.
And you're dying for that 6th pick. You're just clawing your eyeballs
Right.
out not to be.
It's honestly, without relegation, it's sort of what you get in soccer where there's different tiers that create interest naturally.
Yes.
And obviously in soccer, it's a relegation zone. And maybe you care about getting your team in the Champions League if you're in the top 4, whatever. But the point is like within the division, there's all these interesting dynamics. I think that they've eliminated that with the current system.
I agree.
But you could mimic it without, relegation would be the ultimate, but
they'll never do that.
no. But it would be cool.
We are at 2 hours.
All right, I guess we should wrap it up.
All right, so an
What's
hour
the
left.
longest pod you've ever had?
240?
Yeah, we've gone like, I don't know, 40, maybe 230-ish. We've gone pretty long.
Tavares signing his first deal, I think, was like close to 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just like pure jubilation.
It was amazing.
For 3 hours.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
If only
Oh my
we'd
god!
known.
For like 3 hours.
We did do a live stream for the draft, and it was 4 hours 53 minutes.
Yeah, we've had longer
Well,
lives.
that's because the draft was
Fucking
4
draft.
hours and 53
That
minutes.
was the first round.
Yeah, I'm not going to even ask you about that because it's just going to make me mad. But can't wait for next year.
You know what, though? There's an easy solution.
Make the show good.
Don't give a shit about the show. Just pare it down to nothing. Pare it down to picks, and that's it.
Yes.
But don't don't make it a show. Don't worry about having Tom Green there.
Nope.
Or some wrestler I've never heard of or whatever. No offense to these people because I know they're all famous and they're successful. But like, just literally have one person, whoever you designate, announce picks and just go bang, bang,
And
bang,
we
bang,
don't
bang,
need
bang,
the
bang.
Wizard of Oz.
We need about
video
3
board.
interviews too.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, I
How
get
does
that
it feel? Good.
the draft is a local story. The whole point of this decentralized thing is that all those prospects then fly to the city and then they become a story. You know, the Leafs draft someone 18th. That becomes a story in Toronto. But it's not going to be a national story most likely unless that player has something incredibly tragic or, you know, like in general, most players like, hey, I was good at hockey. I tried really hard. This is a great moment for me and my family.
Yeah.
Like there's not much to say. It's like graduation day.
Yep.
Imagine going to a high school graduation. Let's interview kids coming off the stage.
I know. I was blown
So,
away.
how was calculus this year?
Well, I passed with a 57. I think the teacher just, wanted me out of his class, didn't want to get me again. And
I'm going to take my talents to Toronto Metropolitan University, where I plan to go to a few keggers and
yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Steve, good memory. I was off the Tavares episode on July 3rd, 2018, 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Wow, and look at you're in the old studio.
Yeah, these are the Sportsnet backup.
I remember being in
studios.
that closet with you guys
Yeah.
a few
Yeah.
times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
that is a
terrible
young,
angle.
That is
because-
a young Adam Wilde.
So many
Oh,
V-necks too. In the room.
hey,
So
Jesse,
many
who are
V-necks.
those 2 skinny guys you did a show with?
Jesse looks
Yeah.
the exact same.
He does.
It's very
I
frustrating.
hate him.
I haven't changed too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little more gray. Definitely a lot
I don't
more
even
gray.
see any gray. Where is it?
I just
Just
had
in
a
his hair a
haircut,
little bit.
so it's yeah.
Oh, like
But
He also Grecians it. He doesn't tell you that, but
what does Grecian mean?
that's the fake hair dye for men that have gray. You just comb it in.
Oh my god, no.
That's
No.
crazy. Where
I think I looked
do you
at the
buy
store.
that?
All right, CJ. Listen, I hope and we all
Easter
hope-
egg at the end of the show. I like it.
That's from working at Shoppers Drug Mart. That's where you get it. I just want to say, CJ, you have put in. This is 4 years now. You've been with SDPN. A lot of shows and a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of weird hours. So we so appreciate everything that you've done for us so far, and we're looking forward to you coming back rested and relaxed and feeling better.
And we're still here. We are still here.
Where you doing anything on vacation that you can talk about, or are you just going to hide that?
I'm going to Japan this summer.
Where?
Wow.
Where in Japan?
All over the place. I have to go to Japan to see a baseball game because I'm sworn off the Blue Jays. So,
okay.
being a man of my word, I have to travel across the world to see high-level baseball in person.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.